I'm live. Hello, everyone. I mean, there's nobody here yet, but hello, everyone. I just finished making an amazing palak tofu. So good. And I was looking on Discord, and there's vegans there who want to have debates. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have a little bit of debates today, and see where it goes. If the conversations are not enough conversations are happening, then maybe we'll watch some videos or something. Let's see how it goes. Hey Gumli, hey JD, hey Jonas. Yeah, so without further ado, I will go into the debate, the vegan channel of Discord. Okay, let's put this one here. Hey Dandelion Gum, nice to see you here. Jake Lagatare, awesome. By the way, everyone, Jake Lagatare wants to start doing streaming online. So Jake Lagatare, after the stream is over, maybe drop a comment and I'll pin it to the top so that people see your channel. He needs a little bit more subscribers so that he can do that, because I think you need a minimum of 50. So if you guys want to help out, that would be good. Plus, we all get to see more outreach, right? Which is always nice. Okay, let's go.
To get at vegans, do you think like that's a good thing to do?
Do you think I have a cat?
No, I don't believe you have a cat or had a cat. I don't believe anything you're saying. So I mean,
don't
it's
believe
really,
cats
really obvious
exist.
that you're trolling. So I'm not sure why I'm supposed to like take you seriously. So yeah, I'm just asking why you think joking about the death of animals is a good idea. I guess
because everyone dies.
Sorry.
Everyone dies.
Yeah, everyone dies, right? But like, why are you joking about it?
I'm not joking.
It sounds like it. Sounds like, right?
If a cat gets vegan, he's gonna die.
Well, not necessarily. We do have evidence for cats.
I don't want to hear any explanation.
You don't want to hear the rebuttal for your stupid claim. Then why are you here?
Are you gonna explain how to make my cat a vegan?
No, well, let me before we go there, Crook. You said you don't want to hear an explanation, right? Your name is Crook, so I'm just gonna start saying a statement, okay? I think Crook is a disingenuous, not very intelligent person. And no, I don't want to hear any rebuttals to it. I don't want to hear any rebuttals to it. I don't care. Is that fair to you?
Okay.
Is it fair to you? The reason why I mentioned this is because the reason why all statements
Are you a vegan? Are you a vegan?
Yeah, I am a vegan, yeah. We all respect animals, therefore we're all vegans.
Your opinion doesn't matter, so shut the fuck up.
Crook, I actually have like mod privileges here, so be careful. Oh, they're gone. All right.
Wow.
Oh well. Anybody else wants to make jokes about dead animals?
No.
Yeah, you're untwisted.
Yeah. How you doing? You good?
I don't see the names of people, but there's hey IP Pang, are you vegan? Or is it Ipang?
Whoever's wasting their time on Red in the chat, I would just block them and move on with my life, frankly. Red is a piece of shit animal abusing farmer who is part of a coalition to like disrupt vegan activism. So I don't know. I wouldn't waste my time on them.
Ooh, Red Wild is a farmer, huh?
Oh, yep. No, he's
So
a piece of shit farmer, right?
so Red Wild doesn't really care about their animals, do they? Oh, damn. I was gonna get them to speak, but no.
Oh, Val just.
Basically.
Oh, damn. So Red is like, he's the guy, he's going around all Discords and all YouTube channels just to show how little farmers work for a living these days. Because they exploit slaves, right? So slaves are doing all the work. And he just disrupts vegan activism by very disingenuous debate tactics like gish galloping and like overwhelming people with like huge texts and huge amounts of information, obfuscation, and straight up lying. So in politics, in the Vegans channel, he made the claim, I happen to be there, that there are 6 times more pesticides on the fruits and veggies than we think. And when I asked him to present evidence for it, he like, well, do you know pesticides exist? So funny, very funny.
I mean, I'm all for GMOs, by the way. I think GMOs could theoretically help us not even use pesticides. So, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
GMOs are amazing.
Interesting. Yeah.
Let's see if there's people who have problems with GMOs also, because I'm sure there's a lot of people. It sort of seems like the people who have a problem with veganism also have consistently appeal to nature.
Yeah. It's a strange one. And they don't even eat very healthily. They appeal to it, but never actually follow through with it. It's also rather worrisome.
Yeah. I have somebody in my comment section saying cows is in pain if milk can't get out. Yeah, so you're essentially what you're saying. I think their name is Jet Volvly. They're saying that it's perfectly justified to forcefully inseminate a cow, take their babies away from them, and then slaughter them when they can no longer get pregnant. Because in the process you will be milking them for their benefit.
I'm suddenly the solution to the problem I caused.
Hello.
Hey P, are you vegan?
The name is Programmer Chip.
Oh, programmer. Okay, are you vegan?
Yes.
Oh, you are. Oh, perfect. There you go. More vegan.
Based on vegan build.
Yeah. Moon Buffalo. So I'm sorry. I'm just replying to people in my comment section also if nobody's saying anything. So Moon Buffalo, there's a link in the description how you can join the Discord. It is a server called the English Hub, and there's a channel there called Vegans Are Better. The link is in the description. Join. Let's have conversations.
Oh, you straight up tell everybody that you're streaming. That's funny too.
Are you streaming as well, Postmortem?
No, not right now. I'm a little tired of streaming. I'm here for mere seconds and then I'll go.
No, I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with streaming. Honestly, I think I would love it if I could stream my whole life constantly because I have nothing left to hide actually.
No, I just got demotivated. As you see, I still do activism, but then I don't want to stream it anymore.
Yeah, well, somebody's asking me to join the server. I'm gonna give them a link.
I think I'm sub to you on YouTube. Okay.
Sorry, Twisted?
I was going to say, I think I'm sub to you guys on YouTube. Let me double check.
Yeah, Captain, what's up? That's what's up. Ooh, Cheap, somebody's calling you gay in
Yeah,
your side chat.
when somebody
Wait.
calls me gay, I say thank you. That's a compliment to me. Just like calling me straight is just as much as a compliment. Thank you for acknowledging my sexuality. It doesn't really matter. So hey, Iskander, you wanted to debate. Why are you not vegan?
Hi. I mean, why should I wait? Sorry, wait a minute. Why should I need to be a vegan?
Because if you want to respect animals, as far as I understand, do you respect animals?
I mean, I'm a meat eater, but how could humanity survive with no meat?
So if you can find a way to make your health work, and that by that I mean thrive on a plant-based diet, then do you think there is no need for you to exploit animals?
What do you mean by exploit?
Well, use them for your benefit and unfairly towards them, so against their own detriment.
I don't understand what you mean by unfair. Like we kill animals to eat them.
Yeah, but
Like people can.
knowing that we don't need to means that killing them is unfair, is it not?
I mean, like the whole humanity was like you, for example, when we talk about the meat itself, like the proteins that we need to get from the animals, like people cannot survive, even though like when you try to, let's say, to feed the babies, if the baby gets no meat or like the proteins that they get from the meat, they are gonna die. If you know what I mean.
I don't think you have any empirical evidence for that, first of all. I think you're just like mentioning something that is your opinion. So I'll go based on your opinion. So what in your opinion is it that
Okay,
you
can
can
I
find in
find
meat?
it?
What in your opinion is it that you have in meat that you cannot get from plant-based products?
Can you repeat your question, please?
Sure. So what is it in meat that you cannot get from plant-based products?
Like there are a lot of proteins that humanity needs to let's say to grow and etc.
Which
because they
one?
are essential to
Which ones?
the people. So
Which ones?
okay, can you
Proteins, any
please?
proteins.
Any proteins? Any
Yeah.
proteins are
Yeah.
essentials?
Yeah,
So-
like for example, by plants you can get from 20 things you can get similar proteins from one thing. 20 is to 1.
Yeah, I have a screen share on my screen.
Plants
Yeah,
20
that
and
shows.
animals 1.
Yeah, John,
Which
I
one
have
would you
a
prefer?
screen share. So I'm sharing a screen where it shows that all plants have all 9 essential amino acids in them. There you go, you can look at it. Even mushrooms, even fruit, some fruit to a very small degree, but other fruit, like a lot of them. And especially like legumes, beans, lentils, beans.
You guys speak about the pain for animals as we consume them, but the plants also have life. What
Sorry,
about
can you
them?
first acknowledge
Yeah, but
please that you were wrong about the proteins, though,
exactly.
please?
Okay. You can
You were
go
wrong,
for it.
yes? Okay.
No, I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong.
Sorry, I just showed you that you are wrong. Can you please
Then
either
also I am
refute
not
the
wrong
data that I showed you or...
because the amount of protein you can get from plants is less than you can get same amount of animal consumption.
Wait. Do you mean how do you measure the amount of protein relative to weight or relative to calories?
Weight, you can say weight.
Okay, so
Yeah, that's
wait,
wrong.
but that's one of the I'm sorry to say it, but that's one of the most ridiculous ways to compare whether something has protein or not. Because you see, if I just take 1 scoop of protein powder and I add 1 glass of water to it, it has 500 well, it has 250 milligrams, right? Plus the weight of the scoop of protein powder. And if I take the same scoop of protein powder and add two cups of water in it, it will have 500 grams. And there's a difference in weight, and there's the same amount of protein. Do you think
But
that
it gets worse
Okay,
than that.
but
Hold on,
but
John.
how many plants require to make that protein
John,
powder?
John, if you
should
less than
measure,
animals,
measure
right?
it.
hold on. If you measure protein by weight, plants have more protein because animal protein is usually very calorie dense.
That's not true. That's
It
wrong.
I can
is.
show it to you if you want. Plant protein is very calorie dense because it has a lot of fat in it, usually more than plant protein. So tofu has
Give
per
me example,
100.
please. Could you give
Tofu
me an
has.
example?
Yeah, sure. I can give you an example. So tofu has per 100 grams. I can't. Can I? Sorry. I'm gonna share my screen. Other screen. Stop streaming. And I'm gonna share this
Let's
screen.
see if I can also share it while you're.
Yeah. So let's enter something. Let's enter like beef. Let's make it like 80% clean, right? To bias it towards your position, to make it like really, really clear. And let's put 100 grams in there. Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about because, for example, you mentioned fat while you're mentioning protein. The thing is, like, I'm not sure what your argument here is, but anyway, take for example, like chicken breast has no fat, basically, right?
Yeah.
Per 100
so
grams, if you look it up now, per 100 grams, it has 31 grams of protein. Tofu, as you mentioned, I just looked up, it has about 12 grams. So, what's your point? Like, your point is invalid.
So listen,
And-
I can make a pretty good point
Another
easily.
thing to
So
consider is
And let's
Another
add
thing to
8
consider is-
soy protein isolate. Soy protein isolate has 88 grams of protein per 100 grams.
Nice. Yeah.
So
Good.
measuring it by
Okay,
weight
okay.
is my issue,
Okay, but-
right?
but-
You should
but
measure it by
how
calorie.
much-
Okay,
Exactly.
okay.
How
Even-
much
So-
can we produce
Yeah,
it
beef.
is
Yeah,
also a
but-
fact.
Yeah, so beef has
Produce it.
25 grams of protein per 100 grams. You can see it on my screen. And soy protein isolate, so meaning like soy powder, soy protein powder has 88 grams.
Even if, although your point's still invalid, but even if plant proteins typically do not have all the 9 essential amino acids.
they do have all the
Oh, yeah, they
essential
do.
amino acids. What essential
I
amino
just
They're
showed it.
acids?
not. They're
Wait,
not.
wait, wait,
They're
wait.
not complete.
just showed
It's
it.
not complete.
But Axhit,
I just showed it.
Axhit. I'm sorry,
No.
that's a weird name. But like, tell me which essential amino acids are lacking in plants, or which essential amino acids
that's
you
not
cannot
the
get
thing I
from eating different plants.
Well, in that case, you need to combine a lot of different ones, and
Oh, sorry, chaos.
it
No,
becomes
no,
more.
Look, Osmontom.
Yeah.
You are saying about soy, but how much the production of soy we get annually in terms of cow meat or animal meat?
I'm not sure what
Also
you're
a
asking.
fact.
Can you please like rephrase the
Like
question?
you
What are you
are
asking?
giving example of a plant which has more protein than animal meat. How much can we produce it annually? It's also a
Well,
fact. We should consider
Much
it.
more because animal protein is by definition is very inefficient protein. You need to like I have it somewhere here. Because,
Hello.
you need to first feed a cow, right? And you usually feed a cow with grain. And then you, I don't remember where it is,
Hello.
but like,
You know-
yeah. So efficiency, there you go, inefficiency. So it takes about 25 calories of grain usually
Hello.
to create 1 calorie of beef. So you just can take that grain, usually soy, by the way, and just feed it directly to people, and that would be more efficient.
Okay. The thing is, like about the moral, about the vegan idea is that your argument stems from a moral point of view, right?
Sure.
Reduce suffering.
It's not reducing.
The thing is,
not
you
reduce
cannot.
suffering.
You
Abolish
cannot.
exploitation. It's not reducing suffering. It's abolishing exploitation and slaughter of animals.
Exactly.
Okay. If you look at it from, so basically you're looking at it from a utilitarian point of view. If we're
No,
speaking
you're looking at it from a
philosophy.
utilitarian point of view. I'm looking at it from a threshold deontologist point of view.
Yeah, and
That's actually not true because it doesn't work that way.
Well, let me ask
Like
you
your
this.
argument is not.
I don't know what you mean. Like I have more evidence for how my brain works and how veganism works than you do. So I'm not sure how you can make now the claim that veganism is
I'm
utilitarian from a
making the
utilitarian
claim.
point of view.
I'm not making the claim. The thing is, biology makes that claim against you, and in that case, if you put philosophy versus biology, biology always wins.
No, wait. What biology makes the claim that it is that veganism is utilitarian stance?
Because humans have evolved to be omnivores.
That doesn't
And
wait.
you
Wait. Before you say all that, this does not
if you
prove,
fight it,
this does not prove the statement that veganism is a utilitarian position. So I'm asking you, how does biology prove that veganism is a utilitarian position? Because that's what you said.
it's not what I said. I said you're arguing from a utilitarian point of view.
No,
Philosophically,
we're arguing from a
trying
threshold
to reduce
deontologist point.
suffering and whatnot. Okay.
Yeah, but
okay,
we're not
if you take
arguing
it-
for it. So can you please stop claiming it? We're not
Yeah, we're not.
arguing for reducing suffering. So who the fuck are you
Okay.
talking to? Can you talk to us? Can you
Okay,
ask us what are we arguing for?
Okay,
To be
what
honest,
is your
that-
argument?
there
What
was
is
a
your
guy
argument?
before
Oh, thank you
there
for
was a
asking
guy-
and not assuming. Finally, Cheap, can you please?
Yeah,
talk
so
to
so
us?
you can think about it this way, right? Take for instance human rights. There have been human rights violations throughout history, right? You could have said that enslaving humans was a bad thing. However, being anti-slavery was not a position where you were anti-suffering of humans, right? Because you could have had slaves that you treated them nicely. Anti-slavery was essentially a position of respecting humans and letting them have their own autonomy in a sense, right? Well, veganism is just the same position, but to animals. It's an anti-slavery movement for animals. Of course, if you want the exact definition, it means rejecting animal exploitation as much as it's possible and practicable. But in an essence, it's a deontological position where you're saying I should not be exploiting even one individual, even if I would be giving them what I think is a better life. Exploiting them would still be wrong because, well, exploitation inherently means unfairness.
Okay. Let me ask. You are saying we don't support veganism because they have pain. The animals have pain. But
No.
look, we live in an environment. We live in a world. We live in a real world where animals becomes old, they will die. So what about we consume it? If they become old, we consume it before they die, and we can have protein.
Well,
Not it logical?
So first of all, it's not about pain.
It's not a justification to kill it.
Yeah, it's not. First of all, it's not a justification to kill them. The fact that they die and afterwards you want to put their body in your mouth hole. First of all, and second, it's not about pain. It's about them being individuals, them having a subjective experience of the world. It's the fact that they are individuals and they deserve the respect that
how do
an
you
individual
define-
deserves. Say it again.
Okay, that's exactly my point I was driving at. So you limit your argument by basically saying, hey, I'm going to categorize animals
It's not
because
a
they're
category.
animals.
You are
just no,
categorizing
it
them.
is. No,
You
it
are.
is. Here's
We're all
why.
animals.
Here's why. Okay, no, I'm not even comparing like humans to animals now. I'm comparing animals to animals because that's how you see it. For example, like in farming, we use pesticides, right? And we even like there are birds that are okay. My point is, what makes you think
I know your point.
a
I've
bird's
heard it
life?
before.
Yeah, I mean, we've heard
Well,
all
let
of
him
this
finish
before.
anyways.
My
Cheap.
point is, yeah. My point here being is you do categorize animals because you're like, oh, a cow, in your sense, a cow is more worthy or like more conscious, say, than a rat.
No,
Right.
again, you're just assuming. We're not doing
I'm
that, bro.
asking.
Can you ask us what our position is before you assume
I'm not
what
sure
our
why
position
you're
is?
angry. I'm not sure why you're angry. I'm making a claim. You can defend it. You can be
If you're
angry.
You are
That's fine.
making a
That's
claim
on you, not
about
me.
our position that is
Exactly.
wrong. Can you just ask us?
Exactly. Don't make claims about our
Okay,
position,
answer
just like we're
that.
not making claims about your position.
Hey man, I'm not. It's
Okay,
fine if you make
here's how
claims
you go,
about
okay.
my position.
Here's how you go, okay.
Man, you don't
How
need
can
to
you
explain
just?
how I
Here's
speak.
how you ask it, okay. Here's how you
Why
ask
don't you
it.
answer it then?
You
Just answer.
think here's because you didn't ask the right question. Here's how you ask it. Do you think that a mouse has less consciousness than a cow? If not, how can you justify eating crops that were laced with pesticides, but not eating a cow? Right? Is
It's
that
not even that, because you cannot and I cannot tell you, or even science can in a way, to come out and be like, hey, this animal has more consciousness than this animal. We simply don't know that.
But it doesn't. It's not.
well,
We just happen to know more animals than others because we interacted more with them. For example, we've interacted historically. We've interacted more with cows, say, than any other animal. If you're talking about farmers and
So here's the thing. Okay, we can definitely say that both cow and mouse a mouse are sentient. Sentience is the ability to have the most basic consciousness. Consciousness
What is
like
consciousness? Like, define
yes.
it.
Sure.
What is
There you go.
consciousness to you?
So I have it on my screen, right? So sentience is the basic basal
I don't
consciousness,
need you.
right?
Okay. Why?
I
Okay.
you like you asked me to define it. I'm defining it. Can you let me?
Okay.
Okay. Thank
Sure.
you.
Go ahead.
So sentience arises from the fact that we have a central nervous system, so a brain and like nerves running down a spine. And all of those like ocular and like and other senses that are interacting with the outside world, and then are interpreted by the brain and use the nervous system, which the ocular shit is part of the nervous system. So both a cow and a mouse have those, so they have the same amount of consciousness. And sentience basically is an on and off switch. You either have sentience, so basic consciousness, or you don't. Some animals most likely don't have consciousness because they don't have this setup. Sorry?
Such as what? Such as what?
Such as who? Such as what would be right in case of somebody who's not sentient or something that is not sentient. So oysters are probably not sentient. It's very unlikely. Sea sponges are very unlikely to be sentient. There's just literally just like a muscle and a sperm there. Like there are a few neurons, but they're not connected to anything. Oyster is a bit more complex, so they have like a rectum and a heart and like a base, like a one muscle, and what else they have? They also have like nerves, but they're not connected to anything. So it's very unlikely that those animals
are
are
useless.
Sorry?
The nerves are useless, basically, or just there just for the sake of being there.
Sorry,
That's exactly my point.
No, well,
That's
nerves are
exactly
not
my point.
useless.
Though.
But
Okay, first of all,
It's not like they're useless. It's just
my
like
point. Here's my point. Okay, I gotta leave, but I'm gonna say my point very quickly.
Wait. No. You don't get to come and say your point and then leave. This isn't that. This is a discussion. It's not you preaching.
Oh, are you gonna?
So if you're gonna leave, you
listen to me.
will have to say your point and then wait for us to debunk it. Otherwise, you shouldn't say your point. This isn't about you coming here and saying, "Well, this is my opinion. It's unfounded, unscientific, and I'm gonna exploit and slaughter innocent animals because I think that's what it is."
Drawing with that kid's drawings that you're showing about consciousness. You've basically just tried to define consciousness right now. Listen to yourself, man. We haven't got a clue about what.
No, I'm not defining. I have a link here. It's a fucking paper.
Just because you have a link, it means you know what.
It's scientists defining, not fucking me. I put it in the chat, by the way.
And by the way, it's not about defining consciousness. It's about defining
browse
who
that
has
website. There's
consciousness.
thousands of.
Do you understand that the difference? It's not about defining consciousness. It's about defining what
How would
gives
you
consciousness. Because consciousness
how
is
would
an
you
emerging property of all the things that postmortem just showed you. A brain, a central nervous system, all of it together creates an emerging property called consciousness. Can we
Correct.
accurately describe what consciousness is? We cannot accurately
Exactly.
describe it, but we know
Consciousness.
what generates it.
Yeah, consciousness is just a filler word we use to describe the experience that we're experiencing,
Exactly.
right? And what we're experiencing is nothing more than an amalgamation of multiple complex processes all operating simultaneously that give you that experience that you're calling consciousness. Consciousness itself isn't its own property. It is nothing more than an experience of many properties, many mechanisms operating together. And if you think of it that way, right, even if you value your consciousness more than mine, or you value your consciousness as a species in terms of humans, when we're more alike than not than other animals, still doesn't mean, right, that you can't attribute some level of consciousness then to other sentient beings that have complex mechanisms, right, so that we can reasonably measure, even if we can't occupy them, right? And so along that, it's consistent along that line of thinking that if you value human consciousness, right, then you then value the consciousness and sentience then of other beings, even if it's not the same. It's still present, it's still reasonably there, therefore it has value. And so if you're going to be consistent with that notion, right, then though we have to make concessions every day that we wake up and the train of life comes, okay? How we weigh the moral value of those choices is in alignment with the consequences of this thing that we value. So for the same way that, people would say, caged farming chicken on one side and non-caged chicken farming on the other side is better, right? In terms of moral discernment, is the same logic that you use to say the lentil farming is better than the caged-free chicken farming. So it's the same framework and logic. We're not using any different ways of thinking. As you've just displayed here, you have the same way of thinking. The only difference is, right, we're applying it more consistently in terms of the outcome and the justification.
Based.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask. You guys are saying we don't believe in animal pain. We are just
That's not what we're saying, no.
Yeah, no one said that.
Why do you guys keep guessing? We are here at your disposal to answer your questions.
Well put.
It's better to listen to the
okay,
answers and speak to them and not,
yeah, let me finish.
make up
Let
the
me finish.
answers.
Like, okay. What you guys will do? Like the cow becomes old, he will die in 3 days. What you guys will do? And like,
I'll do the
if
same to the
I
cow
would
that
not
I
be
do to you if you died when
like,
you're old, right? I have
let me finish.
lentils and other food available to me. You have moral value. There's no reason I need to commodify you.
Hold on, baby.
let
John
me
wasn't listening. Were you listening? Or were you just talking again?
no, let me finish. Like I am not eating the cow, but the like, for example, the tiger, the environment, the ecosystem will consume me. So why would I waste the protein source? He will die.
Sorry.
Why would I use the waste the protein source? Why would not we consume it? Why would we change the habit of
Yeah, because of
thousands
moral
of years
value,
of
right? Because of there's two things that I think are very important there. One is a dishonest point in bad faith you're making, which I'll point out right now, and then I'll address your other point just to entertain you. The first one I'll say is you are not consuming meat because you're waiting for a cow to die and you're wasting the calories. That's not what's happening whatsoever in reality. What's happening is you're eating meat, right? Because you are growing those cows, you're bringing them into existence, you're farming them in mass scale, subjecting them to large amounts of suffering and waste of your own resources. Then you're slaughtering them and then eating them, okay? That's number one. So just to cut through the bullshit, your point isn't even a real one because it has nothing to do with reality. But even if I grant you, for the sake of conversation, that we all just waited in happy cow farms for the cow to die and then consumed its meat, okay? That's still
a lot of people does
has
that. A
nothing
lot
to
of
do
people does
with
that.
moral consistency because you wouldn't do that, right?
No,
To humans.
a lot of farms do that.
They
No,
don't.
none of the farms do that.
97% of all the meats that you consume, that everyone consumes in the industrial world, does not do that. And then the other 3% still doesn't do that. They just farm differently, right? So like, again, there's no farm on earth that you're going to go to, right, where the cow, well, maybe there's some you could find, right? Maybe a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a percent where they're just friends with their cow. They named him Tom, and they're just waiting for him to die so they can eat them. Okay, which takes like decades. But even if you found that, it still would have nothing to do with the conversation we're having. And even then, if they waited that long for the cow to die, it's proof that they didn't need to fucking eat the cow in the first place, which still makes my argument for me. There's no value in doing it, right? Because if we can eat happily, a cow can live next to us happily all the way up into the decades in which you wait for it to die, that proves right there there's still no reason for you to consume its flesh after it dies.
I got you. No matter by the before this modern era, this capitalist society, people used to make the cows grow up, then slaughter. And another question is, why now? Why now we should change our habit? We should change our habit thousands of years. Why now?
Yeah, so easy. In the same way that we've changed our habits over thousands of years in every other element, right? Because our material circumstances have changed. I'll grant you, right, that I couldn't be vegan in the way that I am today if it was 1,000 years ago, right? But that doesn't really matter, okay? Because the way that we make our decisions today, right? Again, if you want to boil it down to like utilitarian arguments, you could even use that and still make a coherent vegan argument, which is why veganism is so great. Because any direction you approach it, it still converges to the same conclusion. So again, just because we didn't have the ability to have material science and the infrastructure that is able to afford us the creation of abundance of food, right, and control of our calories and nutrients and supplements, right? Just because 1,000 years ago I couldn't do that, doesn't mean I can't do it now, right? And so because I can do it now, right, it's the more moral thing to do. This is how you can understand this very simply. There's an equation that all of us use to decide whether something is morally good or morally bad, no matter how different you think you and I are, right? There's an action, there's a consequence, and there's a justification. Those are the three pillars, okay? So take, for example, you and I, all of us are in a room together. I take an action. I slap you in the face. The consequence is you feel the pain of being slapped. My justification is I like slapping you versus my justification is I slapped you because I needed to protect myself. Okay? You understand the moral discernment, even though the actions and the consequences are the same, but the necessity was different. Therefore, we weigh it morally different. You do this in every element of your life with everyone who's around you all the time. So this is no different. Just because I'm no longer in a food desert and I don't have access to grocery stores, right? So that's the action and consequence, doesn't mean my necessity is not now different. So therefore, the moral consideration is also different. I don't have to cut the chicken's throat to survive. I have lentils. So if that's the case, then it would be morally wrong for me to do it when I don't have a necessity to do so. In the same way, it would be morally wrong for me to slap you when I have no necessity to do so. And so what's the world you want to live in is the question you have to ask yourself. Do you want to live in a world surrounded by people who could slap you because they feel like it, or they slap you only because they have a reason to? And when you answer that question honestly to yourself, you'll realize why being vegan is better, and you yourself are vegan. You're just not, because you value the same things as me, you're just not consistently applying it in your life.
Can I ask you something?
I got you.
Yeah, you just said it's morally better if I don't kill animal, right?
Correct.
Depends on context.
But didn't morally better if you don't force anybody to be vegan?
No. Is
No.
it moral?
No,
Wait, is morality better?
You
Let
feel
me
forced,
just.
or are we having an adult conversation where we're exploring the way we're thinking in the world we want to live in?
But bipedal.
Is all
Even
of your
before that.
vegetarian food ethically sourced?
So wait.
Because there's a lot of farming practices that are way worse than what we do to animals, what
Can
we do
somebody
to other
mute
human beings.
Let's be clear. Hold on. This is such an important point. I'm glad you brought up. This is the classic whataboutism fallacy, right?
Oh, brother.
So let's just be clear here. There's no intellectually honest, right, or naive vegan who's standing in front of here that's saying that every food that I eat, every decision I make in my life is devoid of consequence, right? There's
If
imperfections riddled. There's things that have to die, and there's effect to the environment in everything I do. That is not the issue here, okay? The issue is there are decisions I could make reasonably right in front of me that are better than others, that have less of those detrimental impacts. That's the
Well,
entire
the issue is you're claiming morality, like you have a
Hey,
moral
guys,
high
one
ground,
at a time.
and
Hold
your
on.
moral high ground is based on I eat plants
moral
and
high
you
ground.
eat
It's
meat.
not moral high ground. It's logical consistently. Let me show you very.
No, logically consistently would be like some of your food is formed by
Wait, Tara,
slaves.
I'm going to give you a
Guys,
very
one
simple
at a time.
analogy, okay? I didn't get 8 hours of sleep last night, even though that would have been optimal. So therefore, because I didn't perfectly sleep, I should not sleep at all. Do you understand how silly that is? You don't actually believe the logic you're giving.
there is one problem with you guys.
Go
I
ahead,
mean,
go ahead.
you are a hypocrite. That so much you believe that you guys are right. I'm sorry to say that.
So
but
point out the hypocrisy. As far as where I'm
but-
standing, the only hypocrite
I'm
is you.
pointing out the hypocrisy.
but
Yeah,
wait,
like
wait,
that's what I'm
wait.
claiming. I'm
Can
claiming
you
you're a
guys
hypocrite.
One
shut
at a
the
time.
fuck up?
I'm gonna start
Guys.
modding one at a time, please. And I can't
But-
mute. I'm gonna have to kick people. So please, one at a time.
Yeah, that was what I want to say, but two individual like animal came and attacked me. I don't know why, but okay.
Sure.
So the hypocrisy is from that you think that your food that you eating it's pure vegetarian and it's everything all right with it. I'm
No,
sorry.
you're strawmanning the argument, brother. That's a complete
But,
straw man. I acknowledged multiple times in conversation. If you actually
Can
tried
I-
to listen,
can
you're really
I-
trying to
can I say,
Hold on,
or
let me
you
clarify. I'm pointing out a straw man. It's very important if you want to have an adult conversation, you actually speak to what someone said and not what you want them to have said because it's convenient to you. So first of all, I acknowledged there's consequences, there's death involved in my lentils. Okay, I never denied that. I never said that I'm perfect. I never said I can be. Okay, what I said is I can measure reasonably and demonstrate that my choice of those lentils has less death, less suffering, less resources than your cow or chicken does, right? So it's
are
the
you,
best
you are
food, even if it's
delusional.
not perfect.
Are you delusional because the
Wait,
chemical
wait,
we use to
wait. I'm gonna help this conversation a little bit. Felix, what did the person just tell you? Just let's see if we were listening, Felix. What did the person just tell you?
that he's not perfect and he's understand that the process that he need to eat the food is making killing animal, but it's less than the cow or chicken industry.
And what do you think? Yeah, okay.
This is what I wanted to say. It's like a little bit bullshit because the chemical we use to protect our farmland, it's more dangerous than cutting the chicken throat.
But
I
wait.
just saying because the chemical we use is usually the same as the Auschwitz guard they used to kill Jews. And it's suffocating us, not like a little, you are getting a dead. No.
But Felix,
Sorry, how did you reach this conclusion exactly?
Brother, I'm living in a fucking farm. I know what chemical we use.
Okay. No, that's not what I'm talking about. How did you reach the conclusion that eating chicken or beef kills more animals than eating plants?
The other way around.
No, yeah, the other way.
Yeah, how did
What
you
do you
reach
mean
the
the other way?
conclusion? How did you reach the conclusion that consuming plant-based products or plants leads to more animal deaths or more animals' rights being violated?
It's a little bit simple. It's how can I say it? If I kill a cow, it's for me.
What
but
was
if
the,
I
wait,
kill,
wait, before you say that, what was that cow fed and for how long were they alive?
I don't know, like 1-2 years usually.
2 years. How
for
many
us.
plants was that cow fed? In the duration of those 2 years?
I don't know, brother.
I thought you live in a farm. I thought you live in a farm. What do you mean you don't know?
Is it a plant farm?
We don't calculate how many feed the cow will feed.
Oh, there you go.
We usually give every. We usually give
this isn't like an opinion. This is demonstratable, right? So in scale, when we're feeding hundreds of millions of people, right, which is the reality of the world that you live in, even if you live on a farm, you do understand, right, that the output, the amount of labor, resources, and land that you use in animal agriculture is undeniably higher. So it's 6 times more resource intense. It's 10 times more environmentally unfriendly for the same amount of calories and nutrients that you would cultivate strictly prioritizing plant-based infrastructure. This is not an opinion. You can Google this, and I implore you to disagree with me and try to disprove me yourself. I'd love to see it.
No, I have it on my share screen. You don't have to Google it. There you go.
But
I
even
can give you
like,
the link.
let's just educate them in a very simple way, right? Look, a cow eats 20 kilograms of food every single day. A human can only eat around 2 to 3 kilograms of food a day. That's 10 times more. A cow eats 10 times more than humans, right? Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Cool. So
Go
if
on.
that's the case, we have to grow plants for cows to eat, right?
Yeah, and it takes about 25 calories to
So if you
create 1 calorie of beef. So it's like inefficiency galore. And most of those calories, they come from plants that were
just
grown for them,
real
right?
quick post.
Yeah.
I just want to kind of explain this to him. Like, let's say for what, just for the argument. This is not statistics. This is just for the argument, right? If one animal dies for 1 kilogram of plants, what is better to eat? A cow that has to eat a lot of plants and kill a lot of animals, or just plants where there's less animals killed? Which one in this case scenario is better?
You wanna hear that your is better, obviously, because
No, we're asking you what your fucking claim is. We're asking you. We don't want to hear anything. We just want to hear what you think is true and how you reached that conclusion.
I just want to know if they do care about less suffering or less killing.
No, we don't care about less suffering.
There you go.
You don't
No,
care.
no, we don't care.
I do.
No,
But even if they
not
didn't
you,
care about that.
not you. But you need to understand that when I eat meat, I will produce, produce cow and kill them. It is simple. You cannot change anybody upon.
It's not simple.
You know what I want to say it because you wanna.
You don't have to value like even if you are.
Ask a question.
By the way, I'm pretty sure you are the most annoying human being who is alive.
I'm sure you're annoyed because being proven wrong is annoying, but devoid of ego fragility here. Even if you don't care about the animals, if we just strictly focus on your argument, right? You're using a utilitarian and pragmatic argument. Even if you use that, you still lose. You may feel annoyed by that, but this is the facts. You're either able to handle that or not. You use 6 times more resources cultivating that cow, 10 times more environmental impact, right? And it's more costly even at the front and back end, right?
Hold a fucking minute. No. It's not, but it's not cost more. No.
It does cost more. It does.
No. You know what? Why it's not because the cow can eat grass or any other
but
plant.
the cow can't. Maybe you do if you live in a small population of like a few thousand people and you have tons of acres of land, right? That may seem like it makes sense, but you neglect the reality of the world you actually live on that's around you, where we have billions of people that we feed, right? Exactly. Nobody can live that way. There's not enough green pastures and water and energy and labor available to you to feed hundreds of millions of people in a given population using cows, which is why we use the industrial model, right? And even then, even using the industrial model, we still can't surpass plant-based eating in terms of overall resources and overall environmental impact. You understand this, right? So no, it's not possible in any way you could possibly comprehend to have happy cow farms with green pastures everywhere, which is why we don't do it. And even then, which industrial agriculture is way more efficient than your green pasture, it still isn't more efficient than plant-based eating. This isn't an opinion, it's demonstrable.
You know how much that shit cost me to protect your shit to it, by the way.
All right, we're going in circles, brother. You can run away from logic and still
Bipedal
but you still don't get the point. It's
Guys, you're talking
fucking
to
Hippocratic.
guys, one at a time, please. One at a time. Let's finish with Felix, and then we can talk to you, Staffar. Oh, sorry.
Still
I butchered your name.
Hippocratic, you know, because you still think that your process is more efficient and more better.
Literally, nobody thinks it. We can prove it, and we just
don't think
did.
it.
Okay,
Yes, the
prove
difference
me.
between you and I is that yours is based on how you feel, and mine is based on what I can prove.
Wait,
This is why we're not equal in the conversation here.
Can I also add something to this? Before we go into this, like, it doesn't really matter who's more efficient, by the way, because it's not like the reality is, yes, animals are slaughtered also in crop production, which sucks, but you also, of all people, would acknowledge that if people like us, vegans, would be handling crop productions, then less animals would be exploited and killed even in crop production, right? Number one. And number two, this isn't about animal deaths happening in human endeavors, right? We build houses, we build roads, and in that process, animals are killed. That doesn't mean we should stop doing all of that. If those processes are needed, we continue doing them. But that does not give us the right to create more deaths, to exploit more individuals, and to disregard more of them just because we kill some of them in the process. Do you understand? Those processes need to be improved. But animal agriculture is a process that depends on exploiting and slaughtering animals. Therefore, animal agriculture can never be improved on that matter. Animal agriculture needs to be abolished. Do you understand that?
Yep.
Yeah, so it doesn't really matter. Why are we arguing which one is more efficient? You deny
You're right.
science or whatever, but at the end of
Yeah,
the
at
day,
the end of the day, yeah, Chip, you're 100% right. I think the only reason we do argue that is because one of the beautiful and most amazing things about veganism is because exactly what you're saying is true. But even if they could deny that, even if they want to deny it altogether, the lovely part about it is it still goes in our favor in any axiom you want to point at.
exactly.
Like if you want to disregard morality altogether, which by the way, being moral and the sense of morality is the thing that makes us most humans. And these people who claim superiority, right, our humans are superior. The thing that quote unquote makes us superior is the sense of morality, our ability to collaborate. We are so complexly moral that we can even collaborate beyond the grave in sharing information. It's why we can build rocket ships.
Can you watch the
It's
chat
interchangeable in the human
if I
experience.
send
But even if you
something?
discount that, every other place you could bring up to argue still values, even if you don't have, even if you're a pure psychopath and you have no sense of empathy and you want to stick to pure utilitarian points, you still lose, right? Because if you look at those facts, being plant-based, even if you don't want to call yourself vegan, is still the superior option on everything you value.
Exactly.
Yeah, and also it's kind of important on a psychological level to once in a while like debunk somebody's preconception about something, because then it reduces the amount of evidence, quote unquote, that is supporting their claim. So
Okay, so I'm a meat eater, and a lot of you guys are either vegan or vegetarian. I do my best to ethically source my meat. I do care about where it comes from and the life of that animal, and therefore,
let them finish.
because
Let them
I do.
finish.
Well, now let me finish what I was getting at, because I was actually trying to drive at something else, but I'm not going to go down this whole.
Let's just like make one point at a time if it's possible, because
all right, I'm sorry. My point is that going and saying morality, like it is somehow more moral to be a vegan versus being a meat eater is a huge form of hypocrisy, because I can literally list all of the immoral things about eating certain vegetation.
Yeah, but
Okay, and I can use the same arguments you're using for meat eaters against a vegan.
Yeah, Starfire, this is so easy to cut across. It's so easy to cut across, right? At an elementary level. Because everything you just said is true, and it's the vegan argument. Because again, I kill things, I have an effect by eating plant-based. Undeniably true. But you know what? In that same line of thinking, I do less of it than you do by not eating vegan. So if you want to claim, right, that it's moral, which it sounds like you do, to not cause unnecessary death and suffering, and you care about animals, right? If that's true, which you're saying it's true, then therefore eating plant-based which does measurably way less of that, right, is more moral then.
Do you
It's not a
think it's moral? Do you think it's literal? It's moral to go and tell omnivores not to be an omnivore?
Yes.
Yes.
Like, would you tell a predator not to eat its prey? And would you tell an omnivore not to eat its meat?
Guys,
Don't
I'm
raise your
here.
voice. It's very
But
annoying.
no, let
I-
it,
Very
I'm-
annoying. Keep
Guys,
calm.
I'm here to kind of
Starfire is
moderate
so
real
easy,
quick. 'cause
like we are omnivores undeniably.
Abe,
But you know,
hold
hold
on.
on.
I'm here to just quickly moderate, right? Just real quick. If Starfire wants to talk to someone, let them talk one on one with the said individual, and let's just not jump on the boat. Like even if a non-vegan says something wrong, let's just not just jump on them. Anyway, yeah,
You're right.
Starfire. There you go. And Abe, go ahead. Sorry,
Well,
Starfire. What was your last comment?
Okay, well, my argument is, for example, I love chocolate. Absolutely love chocolate. Refuse to eat it. Why do I refuse to eat it? Because slave child labor, right? And there's the dirty dozen. There are so many of our food crops where slaves, child slavery, you freaking name it, horrible atrocities in order for us to consume our foods. And what you're trying to say is what is more or less moral. And you're claiming a moral superiority based on what people consume, and that's very fucking judgmental. And I just don't. I think that a lot of people have a hard time listening to vegans because of this type of conversation right here.
Okay, can we like respond to you now? Is that okay?
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, who wants to do it?
Sorry.
Yeah, do you mind if I do it, or
Yeah,
unless
go
you
on,
want to?
Pepito. Yeah.
Go for it.
So I'll just first, I'll build the bridge here, and I'll say I understand 100% where you're coming from, right? It's not that that's not a valid position. I understand the feeling you're having there, right? The thing I just want to say here is that I'm not, as a vegan, claiming moral superiority, right? What I am doing is I'm pointing out in a very reasonable and measurable way, by the same moral you and I have, how my decision, the same decision or same reasoning you use to come to the conclusion of not eating chocolate. We're not different. It's the same conclusion or the same logic that I use to come to the conclusion of eating lentils over the cow. So we're not different, and I'm not claiming to be more superior than you, right? What I am claiming and am pointing out and standing by is that the decision that I'm making, which is one you could also make, is a morally better one in terms of outcome for the same logic you use that it was better to not buy chocolate.
Also, there is fair trade chocolate, so.
I do. I buy fair trade chocolate when I do get it. It's
So you can buy fair
ridiculously
trade.
expensive.
Yeah, so you can buy fair trade. Hold on, you can buy fair trade chocolate and be vegan at the same time. Those are not contradicting.
You can also go and buy farm raised and grass fed and free range.
And how is that
things
better
like
for
this
the animal?
in order
How is
to
that
ethically source your meat?
Hold on. How is that better? How is that better for the animal who was slaughtered?
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Starfire, for the same reason that you would conclude that buying grass-fed is better than not grass-fed, right? For that same logic, it's not any different, is the same reason buying lentils is better than buying the cow. It's not different. It's the same logic.
Okay. Well, I accept the fact that, like, even though we are humans and therefore somehow we there are some things where it's like there's a human nature. I also accept the fact that we have an animal nature. Okay, we are omnivores. We have omnivore teeth. We have omnivore bodies. And just like I wouldn't tell a predator or an omnivore not to eat its food sources, I would not do that to a human. But I don't believe in unnecessarily letting something suffer while it lived.
Okay,
it doesn't bother me that we killed it to eat it. It bothered me what its life was before it died.
Well,
that's what matters to me.
Both of those can be important, right? I think it's such an important point. You keep bringing up the omnivore point, right? Because we are not obligate omnivores, right? We are omnivores. And the reason we're omnivores, right, is because it has historically, in resource constraints, given us a strategic survival advantage. We don't eat omnivore historically or have the ability to eat omnivore because that's just the right thing to do or that's just the best thing to do, right? It's because that's just what was available on necessity. So again, if you take that same logic and you apply it to a modern context, we're omnivores, so we can eat everything. It's not the same thing as saying we should eat everything, right? Because we make discernments based on necessity. In the same way that I have hands and fists, you know, that have certain bone densities to allow me to defend myself and punch and slap you, right? Just because I have that out of necessity doesn't mean it is justified or necessary for me to do so when I don't have to, right? This is the whole context of moral discernment, which you seem to be using in a lot of elements of your life, which is great because it means you care and you're thinking about it, right? But we're not, I'm just trying to show to you, we're not thinking any differently about this, right? We actually have the same moral framework. I'm just applying it more consistently, and I'm just imploring you to do the same and to think about where you can do the same, right? Not because you can do the opposite, but maybe you should do the other. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I'm not trying to convince anyone not to be a vegan or not to be a vegetarian.
Nobody's talking about this. Hold on.
I do believe that you need to follow your own ethos. I just think that it's highly judgmental when people.
Wait, if my ethos is telling me to like fuck kids, is it okay for me to fuck kids?
Are you really gonna argue with this? Like,
Felix, that was
no, that's like if we're talking about ethos in feelings and stuff like that, we can reach horrific conclusions.
That's true.
Yeah, that's not compiled with our society. But eating meat is compiled with our society.
That's not what her claim was. So let's not.
No, what you're doing is trying to shut down a perfectly decent conversation by going and saying something that is an obvious no. Like you never fucking do that with something that humans do all the time.
Why
that is considered natural. Okay? So going and saying don't fuck kids and don't eat animals are two different things, and you are literally just trying to shut down the conversation. And what I'm going to say is this is why I hate fucking vegans.
Wait.
Thank you, but like you're being illogical because
it's not that you refuse to eat food. It's literally because you look at me like I'm a child rapist. Fuck you.
Literally didn't say that. I literally didn't say that. If I can.
Yeah, that's literally what you were fucking doing.
Literally, I didn't say that.
No, Star. Let me explain. Can I explain? Can I just jump in for a moment?
Can I say something, please?
No, hold on. Let's finish this conversation and then you can add it.
Hold on.
Postmortem
let me just
was extreme.
Let me just
to the extreme, in which what it's getting you to think about that. You make decisions in your life and you judge based on those decisions, right?
Ape. Could we also let other people talk if they want to say?
Go
ahead.
Yeah, so Starfar, admittedly, what postmortem said was maybe also deliberately meant to be a bit inflammatory, right? But all they were trying to highlight is basically if we take the logic of ethos, right, and if we test it, like because we have to test our logic, right, and if we use the word ethos, or if we could even say any other criterion, right, like let's say natural or ethos, then we have to test it in other areas as well. We are not saying it's the same thing, but we have to test it on its logical basis in all other areas as well. Well, is it always fine to follow my ethos? Well, if we test this to its logical conclusion, right, that would not justify everything, right? So we have to see it on a case-by-case basis, right? So you're
going down a philosophical route of whether it's subjective or not, and stuff like that.
No, not at all.
And that's not even going to help with the conversation.
No.
And what she was doing, let's just make it clear, is taking an extreme example in order to, like, it was inflammatory and it was to shut down the conversation because she's like, oh, well, like she's comparing a meat eater to someone who rapes children.
I didn't do that.
No, she did not.
I didn't do that. Sorry, hold on, Val. So I didn't do that. What I did is I compared one thing that we can say is coming from ethos, and another thing that is we can say is coming from ethos. So if, like, for instance, my personal ethos. Hold on. If my personal John, please. If my personal ethos, hold on, John. If my personal ethos was telling me to do something immoral, would that be justified because my personal ethos was telling me that? If not, then it applies to meat eating as well. I'm not comparing child fucking to meat eating. I'm just talking about the ethos claim.
Yeah.
The question is eating meat
Wait, Misty, hold on, Misty. Just we're gonna address this, but we want to just get one thing finished real quick.
All right.
Can I say something?
No. Just let's finish this. Okay, last statement was post. Could you just summarize what you just said? Because people are just.
Sure. I was just pointing out that following your ethos can lead you to doing terrible immoral things. So following ethos is not a good marker for morality. Morality is a good marker for morality.
Hello.
Oh, good. Yes. Do we understand?
Yes. No, I was gonna.
Just real quick, Starfire. Do we get it? I hope.
Mm-hmm. So can I?
Wait. Before Felix, before you dive in, Starfire, I think I really wanted to put in one word there before, because I feel like you're a person who really cares about your choices, and I appreciate that about you. And you know, I just want to put one sentence that it took me a while to verbalize nicely. So systems that contain oppression are systems that need to be improved, right? You mentioned chocolate making, that there's oppression in chocolate making. There's obviously there is, right? When we harvest cocoa beans, there's oppression because there's children who are sometimes working for it. But these systems need to be improved, right? There's nothing like abolishing this system will not make cocoa harvesting better. It will just make it so that those kids that are working in that factories go in different factories or do something else because it's a system issue in that country, right? So those need improvement. But systems that contain exploitation, systems that depend on exploitation, systems that depend on oppression, those systems can never be improved. Animal agriculture is a system that can never not exploit and kill an animal. It's a system that will always depend on killing and exploiting an animal. Even if you do it locally, how you call it, ethically sourced or whatever, an animal will always be bred into existence so that they are killed for something that you don't actually need. And that system needs to be abolished.
Not necessarily. Can I make a point?
So I'll just quickly say, since Starfire, there was the last kind of conversation with Starfire, we welcome them just to listen, but let's kind of move points to someone else. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Right. So, I'm a vegetarian, right? And I drink milk, eat cheese, eat eggs, but I don't eat meat. And I've been raised that way from when I was born to now.
Wow.
Now, some farms are specifically for, milking cows, milking goats, getting cheese. You have egg farms for like chickens, free-range chickens. You have all of these options. You don't have to kill them for the meat. Now,
How much do you know about these farms? About the practices on these farms that you mentioned? How much do you know about them?
Probably not as much as I'd like, but if you want to educate me, then feel free.
Yeah, sure. So, Misty, if we showed you that what you're saying is incorrect on any farm, are you going to change your mind and go vegan?
No.
Then
I know that there are farms that don't do that.
So this doesn't matter. So you don't care about slaughter of animals. You don't care about exploitation of animals, which was clear when you said you were a vegetarian. But you don't care about slaughter either. So why are you making this argument?
I am vegetarian on a different basis.
Why
Obviously, I am vegetarian, or I stay vegetarian, not only because that is what I'm fed. Like, I get fed by my parents because I'm quite young still. I still live with my parents, but it's what they eat. It's what's in the house. But generally, when I leave my house, when I go to uni, whatever, I will still eat vegetarian simply because of the economic and the ecological impact. So
if I showed you that economical, ecological impacts improve on a vegan diet, are you going to go vegan?
No.
Then you don't care about that either.
Yeah, you're only vegetarian because you say I'm vegetarian because of the ecological impact. Then we say, well, you could, if you were vegan, you had a better ecological impact. So then that doesn't mean that you're vegetarian because of ecological impact. You're vegetarian because you're put in a position, probably, like you said, your parents feed you vegetarian. You're put in a position and therefore you are vegetarian. You don't really care about the ethical impact. That's just something you tell yourself. You don't really care about animals. That's just something you tell yourself. But if you actually wait, let me finish. Let me finish for a second. Let me finish for a second. If you actually cared about any of these, then you would arguably pick the best option for all of these, right? Otherwise, if you pick the middle option just because it's more convenient for you, then you care more about your convenience than any of these other topics.
I care about my convenience a lot. Now, I also care about what you said. However,
not enough.
I found a middle
from
ground.
Your conviction. Your
I found a middle
convenience.
ground.
It's
So
not a
it would be more convenient.
Yeah, but the middle ground, hold on. A middle ground doesn't always tell you whether something is right or wrong, right? Being in the middle ground between racism and no race, like there is like no middle ground when it comes down to racism, for instance, right? And no, again, I'm not comparing racism to slaughtering animals necessarily. I'm just applying the same logic. I'm not equating them. I'm just testing the logic of middle ground. Sometimes having a middle ground is not always the best thing. Sometimes you have to take a clear position. No racism, no sexism, no enslavement, no discrimination, no animal abuse. There is no middle ground. Some things are just wrong, in my opinion, right? There is no middle ground.
Yeah. But
so
when it comes...
I'm a gardener. I grow my own tomatoes, my own zucchinis, my own corn, a lot of my own crops. I grow myself. I enjoy gardening. And I'm saying this because becoming a gardener made it very obvious to me the importance of soil quality and crop rotation and avoiding things like herbicides and pesticides and all of this stuff. And you keep on talking about the ecological impact of and I'm just wondering, do you know where your food is, how your food is grown and how bad it is for the environment, how it's grown on mass scales? Do you all have small backyard?
I buy organic.
Hold on, guys. Starfire, I'm not sure if you were here before or not, but we said that we want to continue talking to someone else. Because I think we're just going to finish our conversation with you, and then later you jumped into the conversation. We do appreciate you jumping in, but we just kind of want to move to other people's questions.
Okay, I apologize, and that's cool because
fine.
you guys are all vegans and you want to argue with the vegetarian. I get it. I was just wondering because you keep on acting like there's some kind of superiority of ecological
we
stuff.
can address these points, and I think we already did. It's just like what at the meantime when we were.
I'll head out. I was just I keep on hearing this brought up like you were somehow environmentally doing the right thing and
let's just address it. Let's just address it, okay? Let's just address your last question and continue.
Hold
on.
Hold
Jesus
on,
Christ.
guys, before we do address anything, I want to say we already addressed it twice or 3 times, but I think Starfire wasn't there for the conversation. So we can still address it again and again, but
no, it's cool. If you guys already addressed it, you already addressed it. I'm just like the deforestation and the big farms and what they do to our environment. It's bullshit.
Hold on. I just quickly want to address if a person just came into this VC and had the same question as you're saying, we'll address it for that said person. But if we address it to you multiple times and we have to go through it again, it's just gonna feel like a waste of time. But yeah, let's just talk to the person who had their main concern now. And yeah,
and Starfire, if you could check your DMs too, I think that would also be helpful because I think I can address some of those points too on the side.
I'm honestly gonna head out because I feel like I think it's great that you guys care about animals. I do too. Yeah. But at the same time, it's just, oh my God, I'm sorry. It's like,
let's
I don't know. The
Guys,
cognitive
it's time for
dissonance.
one-on-one start. You want
It's
to?
Maybe
Yeah,
maybe
guys.
maybe it would be best if you delay the conversation for another time. Maybe
Yeah.
process maybe
If
and
I'll,
yeah,
I'll make
we
it.
can re-engage.
Wait,
Sam, he's
guys,
right.
we're having a completely two different conversations right now. Let's move back to the person who had the main concerns right now. And if Starfire wants to talk to any vegans in DMs or another VC, they're very welcome to. Who was it who had the main concerns just a minute ago about veganism?
I mean,
I was
Misty.
I would like to weigh in.
Just before you jump in, Misty and Val, I think both of you had a conversation, or someone.
I can't remember who else, but I'll
No,
start.
I wasn't. But yeah, go ahead.
Right. So obviously vegetarian. The way I draw the line with that, obviously different people have different lines, and some people prefer to focus on themselves more, so they eat more meat, or they focus on the animals more, etc. But what I think we're missing is that their choice is their choice. I mean, you can convince them to change, but you're not going to force them. So
Okay, let me address. Can I address this, because there were two very important aspects which I actually want to emphasize. So the very first thing is you stipulated. Maybe it is right or wrong. I don't really care about the focus, but you said that we focus more on the animals than about ourselves. So I want to make it very clear, right? We vegans, we hold the position that it is actually it is achievable, and it is actually the case that you can be healthy and thriving on a vegan diet, right? So if we accept this, at least for the time being, in our context, I'm not talking about like some people who are starving. If this is the case, then it is not a necessity anymore, right? So in other words, you care about yourself whilst also trying to care about other animals. So your health, if done correctly, your health is not under jeopardy, in other words. So that is the very first, that is, so if we can accept it for a time being, and we can go over the evidence about, over the studies, whatever. Okay, so if this is settled, I actually also want to tell you, because you talked about choice, and while it is true that it's everyone's personal choice, it is commonly agreed, and I think very uncontroversial to say, that personal choice has limits, especially if you infringe on the well-being of other individuals. I can't take my freedom and just proceed unchecked. That's impossible. I can't just go out and let's say punch someone in the nose because I don't like their face. And in the same way, we vegans, we should say, well, okay, if it is not necessary to consume animal products, if you can be healthy on a vegan diet, why should you use your freedom of enjoyment, of habit, of tradition to kill an animal that has an interest not to die? Because if you kill an animal that has no interest in being killed, you take everything away from them. And I don't care how ethical you raise them, you only respected them to that extent. But that very interest that builds upon every other interest, namely not being killed prematurely, you disrespected that interest. And I think this is the greatest violation you can do to someone, or to an animal, for that matter.
I understand that.
Yeah.
So what do you define as an animal?
Well, I mean, humans, I would argue, are animals. We are mammals, like cows, chicken, pigs, even bivalves. I mean, bivalves are they're classified under the taxonomy of Animalia. For instance, bivalves, mussels, yeah.
So,
yeah. But let me be very clear. So I think although the animal is a good heuristic or like a good criterion, what we care fundamentally is sentience. That is the primary thing, because again, bivalves may be animals, but they're not sentient, and I take literally no issues, I think, consuming them. If you
we use the word animal like colloquially just to mean sentient animals. That's what we care about.
Yes.
If you find a plant that is sentient, what would you do?
Not eat it.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So I think it's also like an interesting hypothetical, right? So very briefly, if you have an animal that for some reason grows plants behind their back, and the farmer rips apart the plants from that animal, I would also not consume these plants because they're the byproduct of animal exploitation.
Right.
If that makes, yeah.
If the farmer were to carefully remove the plants from the animal and the plants would regrow, right? Let's say, right, and it helped the animal, would you buy the plants?
Probably not, no.
But it helps the animal.
Yeah, the thing is, I understand where you're coming from, and it's not an easy question, but the thing is, if they keep breeding these animals for like benefit, then that's questionable already, because then I would actually incentivize a system that perpetuates using and bringing individuals into existence for some purpose, and it's usually profit driven, and I'm against that. Yeah.
I can make it a little stronger. So, do you know, Misty? Do you know what life cycle analysis is?
No, enlighten me.
Yeah, so life cycle analysis is usually used for like products, right? There are companies that can like assess where the product starts and where it ends up. So cradle to grave, right?
Right.
So what the comment that you made kind of assumes that the animal already exists and therefore we should help them. But us as vegans, we are against the animals existing in the first place. We are against breeding the animals. So if you're assessing the entire life cycle of a product, the animal existing is already a moral horrific thing, right? Because they were bred for exploitation. So yeah, we can look at like this one point in time or this one consequence of an action, but if they are not looking at the entire length of a product or the entire length of somebody's life or somebody's existence, then we're kind of doing a disservice. We're not looking at all the facts, basically.
Right. So just now you said that it was like a moral disaster that these animals were alive.
No, that they were bred.
Yeah,
into
but
existence.
they have to be alive. So
Yes. Yeah.
Are you saying that their existence is like a moral crime?
The fact that the fact that they were bred is a moral crime.
Yeah,
the fact that they were bred to be exploited and slaughtered, or exploited and then slaughtered for a different product.
Of course,
just to be clear, the idea of you controlling the breeding process of somebody else who is not yourself or your own body is wrong, wouldn't you say? If you were to think about it morally.
Yes, but humans are one of the only animals that think like that.
Sure.
Then let's think like that is the issue. Let's start thinking like that exactly because we are humans.
Yes, but animals are not.
Sure. Let's not breed them anyways.
Post-mortem?
Yes.
Can I send you something? Message.
By the way, may I ask something, or I will be shut down for a 5th time?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Thank you very much. I wanna say something to the ape without anyone saying anything, because it's hella ridiculous that the vegan Karenists keep talking without
No, don't be
anything.
disrespectful, Felix. No, if you're gonna be disrespectful you're gonna be kicked. No, don't make people. Don't be disrespectful. We're here to engage in respectful conversations. If you're gonna be calling people names, you will be kicked and you will not be allowed to speak. Okay?
Okay, but I feel like she is disrespecting me, so 1-to-1. So Ape, you said this, right? I will send it to the chat, right? You said that.
What did I say? Sorry, was that to me by Peter?
Yeah, without anyone. So we are only talking to you and me, you know.
Oh,
so
okay,
you said that. So you basically said you kill less plant if you being a vegan.
Yes, correct. Yes.
Can I ask it? If the Earth is going to be full vegan, that means more plants will be, right?
No,
Tell me more. What? Sorry.
If
it
we
does
are
not logically
going,
follow.
as I
Wait, hold
said,
on.
only me and him. Thank you very much. So,
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
it will be more and more planets if we are being a vegan,
More
right?
plants. Is that what you meant to say? More plants if we're more vegan? Is that the premise?
Can you repeat it because I don't know why, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
cannot
just to
hear
make
you.
sure I understand what you're saying. You're asking me if the world goes vegan, there will be more plant deaths, more plant usage. Is that the question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yes. So the easy answer to that is no. We would use less plants. We would have less plant death.
Yep,
So
I'm showing it on screen right now. So,
Oh,
hold on,
yes,
I'm
thank
showing it
you.
on screen right now. So if the entire world went vegan, we would reduce our use of land and therefore, as a proxy, our use of plants by 75%, and specifically crop usage by 200 million hectares. So
Exactly. And just to be
I
clear, to
will
add
mute
into that,
you.
that data is good. And just again, you could boil that down for
Mhm.
your own research to 2 points, right? Number
Okay.
one, we use more crop, right, to sustain animal agriculture and the animals we cultivate. And then number two, we use more plant death, if you will, right, and the land and other resources we have to extract. Also, when we do animal farming. So in both of those ways, and it's not opinion, right? We can measure this. Being vegan, you also, if you care about plants, use less plants. So yeah, go ahead.
What about it? You know, the Earth is like not perfect, and if one plant grow here in my country, in the other country it will be not. So it need to be transported to your country. Is that right?
Sure.
Right.
Yeah,
But
you're talking
if
about global
if
trade,
I
right?
if I
Or
use
cultural trade?
but if I use transportation like aeroplane or ship or anything, it produce gas. Gas
Sure.
is bad for the environment and it's killing our planet. Is it like a little bit weird that if we are going to be vegan, it's need more transportation? More transportation means that you will be actually killing our planet faster and faster.
So there's two ways I can easily address that for you, brother. The first way is I'll just point out to you that this premise you're posing assumes, right? It relies on an assumption that's not true, that we would require more transportation if we use priority of plant-based agriculture as opposed to animal agriculture, which again, just off its face, if you look at the actual data, that's not true. We would actually use less resources, less transportation, and even if I granted you for the sake of conversation that plant-based agriculture would somehow also, in global trade, which we already do in a non-vegan world, would require somehow more transportation, you would then take, right, the ecological impact of that transportation, right? And then we would compare that to the ecological impact of the plant-based agriculture, which I would point to you again, is 6 times less resource intensive and 10 times less environmentally friendly. So it's not a question of a perfect world, brother. That's never the question. It's how do we get to a better world, right? Because we value these things. So if we can't have it perfect, all we can do is have it better, and that's how we get to perfect is by making it better.
Okay, I guess. But what about it if how can I say it?
But can I add
If you
something
don't
before that, Felix? I don't think you're being genuine here, because and I'll explain why. Because you keep bringing these environmental concerns, and I think none of them actually really matter. Because when it comes to environment, I'll just ask one simple question, and then I'll explain why I asked that question. Do you think that if we kill half the human population, the environment would be better off?
Yes.
Okay, so would you advocate for us killing half the human population?
Yes.
You would advocate for killing half the human
Animals.
population?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Sorry.
Jesus Christ, bro.
That's crazy.
This is what I'm
Hey,
trying
I'm
to
gonna be
say. I
real.
beg
No,
to
I'm gonna
differ.
be real,
I
bro. Y'all
told you.
can't be calling vegans crazy now, son. That's actually psychotic,
I
bro.
told
Oh
you.
my god.
I'm sorry to say that, but yeah, it will be more better.
So wait, Felix, why don't you kill yourself for the environment then?
Wait, hold up, Felix. Are you a vegan?
hold a minute. Why you
Wait, hold
want
up,
to
Felix.
kill
Are you?
me?
Wait, hold up. Is
No, I'm
Felix a
not.
vegan?
No, I'm not. It's actually weird that you are a moderator, or I don't know, and you wanna and you said kill myself, but
No,
okay.
I'm asking you, if you think it's better to kill half the human population for the environment, then you understand the fact that any less human being would be better for the environment. So then you obviously understand that also, and if you wouldn't exist, it would be better for the environment. So if you have such a strong moral position that you would kill half the human population, surely you would have such a moral position that you would also kill yourself in that situation, right?
I mean, in your case, you can't kill yourself either.
Listen.
Why
that's not the question. He just asked you a question, bro. It'd be interesting if you actually can answer.
Yeah, and you guys like, no, I cannot say that. It is better, and I will not kill myself. Okay.
Wait, then why would it be? Why the fuck would it be
wanna.
better to kill millions of people then? Like what?
I feel like this is getting out of hand.
No, so
Yeah,
let me explain.
And the funniest part, I only wanted to speak with Abe, but yeah.
So let me explain.
I mean, that's just what happens when you say crazy shit, bro. Like you get criticized, bro. That's what happens.
I beat Sekiro.
Like, don't be a crazy motherfucker, man.
Let me explain why I put that question up. The reason why I put that question up is because obviously any rational human being would not advocate for killing half the human population in the name of the environment. So that just says exactly what I'm trying to say, that on top of the environmental concerns, which are extremely important ones to tackle, we first of all put the rights of individuals before that, right? We would never say, well, we should first tackle the environment and then the blatant rights violations. So in that same reason, veganism is not about the environment, it's about the rights of these animals to body autonomy. So you should first and foremost put the rights of these individuals first and then tackle the environmental concerns, if there are any, but there really aren't with veganism.
You know what I found funny? When you guys cannot say anything about it, you guys saying absolute bullshit. Like, raping kid is also bad, or you wanna kill half of the population.
Bro, you're pivoting. You're pivoting, dude. You are pivoting so hardcore. Oh my god, he's pivoting. He's pivoting.
As I said, I don't wanna talk with you.
He's pivoting.
Thank you very much. I muted you. So,
okay.
For the chip.
There's other people in the chat that's gonna hear
it's
this.
It's actually weird that
you're getting
you said
embarrassed,
that.
Kid.
First of all,
it's
I
not
didn't
weird.
think it.
You just brought up environmental concerns, and I showed you. Well, I didn't show you because you seem to have a psychopathic reason to say that it's okay to kill half the human population.
Say it, or you will repeat yourself every time? Thank you. So, I didn't mean that I wanna kill that many people. It was question, not question mark. You know what is it? Joke.
So you are being disingenuous. So
can
exactly how I started.
Can I say?
I was just trolling, guys. It was a joke.
The point is, you guys only can say that if you
I
cannot
was just
have a point,
joking,
you will
guys.
say
I wasn't
anything
serious.
about it, any bad things. Like, raping a kid is bad, or killing a half a population is bad.
I was just pretending to be stupid,
give me a
guys.
question like this. Like, what the fuck?
The reason
I
I
was just
explained to
pretending
you
to
why
be
I posted
stupid.
that question, Felix, I explained to you straight point by point. The reason why I mentioned that question is because we put morals on top of the world concerns. Morality comes first. Every action that you are doing, first and foremost, concerns your well-being, and then the well-being of individuals you give value to, or the value that you respect. The fact that you don't respect the value of animals is the issue. You respect the value of humans, but you don't respect the value that animals have. So why is it that animals, that a cow, a chicken, a pig, an individual who was born a different species than you, somehow doesn't deserve even the basic value of you letting them decide for their own body?
Okay. If you're talking about moral, then why post said that question, that point, Matt, that rape is also a bad thing, and it's the same, or I don't
morality.
know how. Mm-hmm.
It's a moral concern.
Yeah, and you cannot say anything. cannot say anything like this if you have moral. Also, if you have moral, you cannot say to me, kill myself.
I didn't say it. I asked it. Do you
Yes, you
understand the
did.
difference between a statement and a question?
Yes, I do, and you not question it.
Did just now, did I make a statement or did I make a question?
Now a question.
Okay, so when I asked you the question, I said, if you think it's okay to kill half the human population, then surely you would think it's okay to kill to kill yourself in the name of the environment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is this a question or a statement?
It's a question with a statement on it.
It's a question with a
No,
statement
it's a
on
question.
it.
Yeah,
It's a question.
It's called
No,
grammatugi.
like you literally, like, bro, this motherfucker literally came here to know,
First
like, learn
of all,
English.
in my country, we have that same shit, and yeah, it's a question with a fucking statement.
Dude, you're speaking fucking English, bro. Your country has a completely different
learn it.
dialect and how y'all fucking, like, in context of your language.
And
dog.
it's still,
The
I
fuck
don't
is
have the
crazy.
point because like
And your shit does
you
not
guys
logically
talking
follow,
about
dog.
moral and everything, but
Skiro, it's best if you stay respectful.
Listen, Felix, stop victimizing yourself. This is
I
becoming
am
embarrassing for
respectful.
you. I mean, I don't mean to be a dick
For
about
me-
it, but Felix, like, really, you're complaining that somebody, like, even if you think somebody, a person online, a stranger online told you to kill yourself. Let's say somebody did tell you that. I didn't, by the way. I asked you a question. But
Yes,
assuming
you did.
somebody did, you are paying for millions of animals to be exploited and slaughtered for you. And right now you're victimizing yourself and you're putting yourself in the position of a victim because somebody drew you attention and told you that your logical arguments are inconsistent with your own values. Really? Are you gonna victimize yourself? Come on, grow up.
Okay.
So, first of all, you are a
Damn,
retarded.
Felix.
Actually, you are.
Listen,
the
Felix,
rest of-
I'm just gonna
Called
be.
you
If you're gonna be using slur words, Felix, if you're gonna be
He
using
called
slur
you the R
words,
word. He's mad. He's mad.
Yeah, then you can ban yourself either because you just said the kill.
well, I muted you, Felix. There you go. Okay, let's move on to somebody else. I think somebody else. I don't know if Felix is still talking because I muted him, but let's move on to somebody else.
I would
Alright.
very much like to weigh in real quick before I have
like
to
animals.
Yeah, go for it, Republic.
Yo,
I think
post
you've been
mortem.
waiting for a while.
Yeah.
Right, thank you. It's
You don't have mod here?
I guess I'm the mod. I'm sorry. I've been.
Yeah, you just Felix is like Felix basically crashed out and just called him the R slur instead of actually logically aggressing what was put forward.
Okay. I'll make sure to mod from now on. Sorry, guys.
It's okay. They're gone now. Go on with your question, Replio.
Oh look, he also
No
put
worries.
kill yourself.
So I, to kind of fasten my stance on this point real quick, I want to first explain where I'm coming from with this statement. I'm a paleontologist at the University of Ghent in Belgium. I am actually within a few minutes going to give an online lecture on paleoanthropology.
Oh, amazing! That's amazing, brother.
Yeah,
What's your like specificity? What are you specifically?
Paleontology.
Yeah, I know, but paleontology is a big thing. Are you specifically like primatology? What in primatology?
No. It's specifically dinosaurs.
Oh, dinosaurs. Sorry. Apologies. Yeah, go.
No worries. The ecological niche of extinct archosaurs.
Awesome.
I am primarily trying to come into this debate from a stance of the evolution of humankind has relied heavily on the use of omnivory to strengthen our stance within where we go now. I would say from that area of evolutionary necessity that it is a little illogical. The evolution of humankind has relied heavily on the use of omnivory to strengthen our stance. Oh, sorry, I just heard myself through a mic.
Yeah. Lalo, can you please mute? Thank you. Go.
I believe that, so for example, human brains require an incessant amount of energy compared to even other primates. It's almost in disproportionate how much energy it requires of the body. Roughly 20% of our daily calorie intake goes to supporting the energy requirement of our brains.
Yep.
This is supplied via, well, even in history, this has been supplied by a sufficient dosage of meat, seeing as a plant matter would give us a sufficient number of energy over a progressively longer period of time, while the high cholesterol content of meat would give us a burst of energy quickly in a shorter amount of time that is necessary for a highly intellectual species. If we look at other intellectual animals on the planet, like cetaceans and primates, which supplement their diet constantly with carnivory, all cetaceans are completely carnivorous, though this comes with the caveat of marine ecosystems being almost primarily consistent of carnivorous diets.
Sorry, can you apply this to the conversation real quick? Can you please make an argument? Therefore, okay.
And therefore,
I think I know where you're going, and I'd love to respond to it once you finish it.
Yeah, but let him finish first. By Peter, let him finish first. Yeah.
While I agree that there needs to be a fundamental change in how we process this market, I think it is incorrect to strive for a world where there is purely plant-based dietary requirements.
Hold on. Sorry, are you making the claim that because we used to evolutionarily eat meat and derive a lot of nutrients and calories specifically and cholesterol from meat, therefore we should continue doing it in the 21st century?
In a sense, yes. And while
do you think meat is a requirement in the 21st century? Or animal products are a requirement of a diet in the 21st century?
Yes, in a sense, yes. Yeah. Because there is, if we do not do so, it is of course possible.
It's possible, so it's not a requirement, yes?
Can I just respond to that? It's more so than possible, right? Because to your argument, which I love, and I actually have deeply gone into the evolutionary biological side. My wife is a PhD biologist and a long-term vegan. This conversation I'm very versed on and I enjoy. But let me just point something out to you, which is being alluded to here by post-mortem, and also you yourself actually kind of alluded to it too, right? When it comes to necessity, right? It boils down to necessity of survival. And what's interesting about that is if you take that into there are changing circumstances, which we have now in the past few industrial revolutions very profoundly changed our material circumstances and how that relates to our needs and the complexity of our needs. This is actually in alignment with plant-based consumption and particularly veganism, because if you look at it purely from a survival standpoint, right, which is the efficiency, availability, all of these other factors we could bring in, right? When you do that, right, plant-based consumption, which we could derive all of our caloric needs, nutritional needs sustainably, more sustainably so, from plant-based consumptions, right? Because we use 6 times less of our rare resources, right? Our water, our land, our energy, all of these things. And then in conjunction with that, which comes to the stability of our survival, we have 10 times less of an environmental impact, which is what we are experiencing the fallout now in the industrial age, where our population has expanded not just in size exponentially, but we've also expanded in consumption because of the complexity of our lives beyond just caloric needs, right? So when you think about that and you put that into context, our survival and thriving and ability to obtain abundance is very much more in favor of, for example, vegan philosophy, vegan ways of thinking, and plant-based consumption, because it creates less risk factors, right, for getting our needs in these complex circumstances met, and more stability and thus future survivability.
You mentioned an important point where we do in fact use more vital resources producing and sustaining the industry of meat than there is for plants, which is factually correct. There is an insane amount of if we're focusing on water alone, there goes an exponential amount of water in producing like a kilogram of beef.
Correct. But it's also in the nutrition, brother. It's also in the nutrition. Maybe you would appreciate this because I'm sure you know, right? If you look at it from an evolutionary biological standpoint and a health nutrition standpoint, right, to our physiology, the amount of nutrients, right? The quality of nutrients, its availability, and also the risk factors associated with it, as far as it goes with animal consumption, is very much related to the circumstances, right? The diversity of diet of that animal in which we're sourcing those nutrients from. And because we are now in an undeniable world in which 97% of our animal agriculture, necessarily so, is derived from industrial processes, and this is inescapable. And even then, within those industrial processes, is 6 times less and resource or 6 times more resource intensive and 10 times more environmentally unfriendly. The nutritional element is still important because, again, our ability to cost effectively and sustainably provide a nutritional, well-rounded diet to those animals, which by secondhand we will then get, and also the circumstances in which those animals live, right? Because there's much more involved in the package of those nutrients than just even the quality of the nutrient. There's also all of the inherent absorption we also get by consuming that meat and a byproduct of the circumstances they are in, which is in the form of the antibiotics, it's in the form of various bacteria and parasites, but it's also in the form of, a new modern concern, which is microplastics. There's a higher consumption of even that aggregated in the meat tissue. So we have many modern issues that we cannot escape from, both in the nutritional side, but even in the health risk side that we're exposing our population to in the short term, and of course, as that compounds into the long term. So if you look at it purely from that point of view, right, and you're discussing from an evolutionary biological standpoint, and what that then justifies us going forward, right, it still supports plant-based consumption and thus veganism because it is aligned with the necessity of our circumstances, the adaptability, our survivability, which is why we are omnivorous why we are omnivorous from the start. Because again, if you also look at it historically, there's never been a time in Homo sapien history in the past 200 to 300,000 years where meat consumption is a staple or available with every meal. It is resource intensive historically to farm and to hunt. It still is today, but we've modernized it with industrial processes.
No, that's true. Like even
so like the thing is, even our ancestors, I think the numbers are 60 to 70%, right, of our ancestors' caloric and nutritional intake came from plant-based consumption and was supplemented about 40 to 30%. Of course, time periods, this kind of varies, in meat consumption. Our animal product consumption, even beyond just meat consumption, and our relationship with dairy cows, for example, or other herd animals, especially in food scarce areas without arable land, and also, the reason cardiovascularly we're one of the most cardiovascularly fit creatures in terms of long distance is because we would move with the seasons, right, and the instability of our environment and being able to forage our resources. So again, if you put all that into context, there's no question animal consumption historically was very much connected to our development and survival. But that by no means, and even by using the same logic, you could then put that into our new circumstances and the necessity of them that supports plant-based agriculture and eating into the future.
Yeah, there is also the antagonistic pleiotropy, where we used to, in the past, eat for different reasons. We used to eat to survive, to pass on our genes. Now our what we want to do, changed. We want longevity, and that's just antagonistic to eating animal products.
To look this in like a long-term scale, as we're talking in longevity, there exists no highly rich energy packed source that there exists no
Sorry.
Can someone
Yeah. I'm banning them. Give me 1 sec. There you go.
Apologies for that interruption, I suppose. But
sorry, go ahead.
Sadly, there exists no alternative within a plant-based or even supplement via medication
what do you mean
to a high to the high energy supply that meat provides.
No. brother, that's exactly what I'm addressing. It's not true. When we look at what we can measure, right? That's not true. So
But
it's way more energy
I'm
intensive and resource intensive for those caloric and nutritional needs you're being met from meat, both on the front end, but also on the back end, right? Because I haven't even touched on the monetary and economic subsidies. I've only touched on like resources and environmental impact, which is undeniable. But even at the register on the front end, the cost of meat consumption is higher than that of plant-based. But that also doesn't take into account the back-end cost, which is from a US lens, for example, what I'm speaking from, is in the form of $40 billion every fiscal 12 months.
No, I'm not speaking of the economic venture because I will not venture into that. I'm not literate within the economic stasis. I don't know much about this. I'm looking at this. Let's say humans within a couple million years from now, if we still be here. If we, with the snap of a finger, swap to a vegan diet, we wouldn't stay the same. We would regress in certain evolutionary aspects.
Okay, so that's a. Oh, wait, let me just point this out because this is so important, especially if you have the credentials you have. This is a neglect to me of what evolution actually is. There's no doubt that we are going to have physiological, environmental factors, and our epigenetics are going to change over time. So in a million years, yes, Homo sapiens as we know them will be different. But just to be clear here, and very clear, whether we are vegan or not, as a consequence of our industrialized society and its continued advancement and trajectory, and even circumstances of today, even if nothing changes, that will still be true.
So you are stating that we will not evolutionarily regress if we were to switch to an all-vegan diet.
I'm saying regress is not a coherent word here because regress doesn't mean anything.
How would you even support that claim?
Do you know how evolution even works? Like,
yes,
do you know how natural selection
yes,
works?
well, he's
Yes, it is my job.
Regression here, right? Like what you're using regression in a vague sense, right? Which for two things. Number one, you wouldn't actually be able to coherently and confidently state that an all plant-based diet versus an industrialized omnivorous diet, as we're saying now, would cause us, in terms of our epigenetic expression and the future mutations we would then have, would somehow be more negative or something that we would not value. You'd have no way of rationally being able to, substantiate that claim.
But I can.
Then number two,
I will if you wish.
I'd love to hear you try. Yeah, go on.
Yes. So okay, let's say, as in my example, I snap with my finger. All human population is vegan.
Yep.
And we are no longer able to even process meat. This intense energy requirement that our brains require is suddenly not being sufficiently supplemented by unless we
Why
have
do you
this.
say not sufficiently? Because we can very much measure and can very reasonably and easily say that on a total plant-based diet, which is to say in this context a vegan diet, that all our energy, caloric, and nutritional needs are very much catered to and can be provided for as we physiologically stand now.
Sorry, how would you even make the claim that in the 21st century you're not going to meet your energy needs when we have like an opposite effect in our food system right now? Like there are too many available calories. Like it's an actual issue in the world that everybody consumes more calories, almost everybody, right?
We develop a surplus, and even within that surplus, right, we could have even more of a surplus if we prioritized plant-based agriculture over animal agriculture, because again, we already have a surplus, but that surplus comes at a much greater cost by 6 times the resources. Again, this is not like an opinion. We can measure this.
You keep insisting on this on this created like we have more. Like we can create more plant-based matter for us to consume. I'm stating that plants cannot provide that. It's not that we don't have enough of them. It's that the vacuole of plant cells.
But if you're posturing that plant-based cannot provide all of our nutritional and caloric needs, okay, that's your claim. It seems like you're making. This is a completely incoherent claim that doesn't match up with literally anything we actually know in what our caloric and nutritional needs are. There's nothing inherently special or solely available in animal consumption that isn't also available from plants. There's nothing you can eat in a cow
plants or
that I cannot
supplements.
get from a plant-based diet.
That is factually incorrect. That is
Okay, so point
factually
out to me. I
incorrect.
would love to see it. What specifically, right? Just name one.
Vitamin
What
B12.
specific
You guys
nutrient,
have to
vitamin,
have vitamin B12 fortified
Yeah.
foods, and you get that, and that is an animal product.
Is
It
it
is.
coming
You
from
cannot
evolution?
get that from. You cannot get that from
Sorry,
a
that's
plant.
not an animal product. It's created in a lab by a bacteria.
To dispel. Yeah, so B12 is the easiest, most prevalent stereotype and misunderstanding. B12, first of all, does not come from animals. And B12, from an evolutionary biological standpoint, where our ancestors got it, mostly did not come from animals. It comes from a bacteria in the ground before modern sanitation, in which we would pull our root vegetables, for example, and we had from the soil. We didn't have modern cleansing of that bacteria. We would consume B12. And by I add that even today, 97%, and even beyond that, the other 3%, that I don't have to get complicated here, but just the 97% of animal agriculture that people consume that has B12 is still supplemented because those animals are not eating from the ground. Those animals are not even themselves getting enough B12 in the industrial model. And so they're injected with B12, that it's fortified in the food you eat in the same way it's fortified in the plant-based diet. Fortification of B12 is undeniably something we have to do, whether you're plant-based or not, because it is a modern industrial problem, not a plants versus animal problem.
Well, just to fix one claim, it's not always injected. Sometimes it's just supplemented in the food, like in
Correct.
case of
That's correct.
beef, cattle, whatever. They are like given cobalt, and all the other animals, it's always in the feed, in the commercial
That's
feed.
correct. That's
It
correct.
looks like-
and again,
it looks like
because
you
it's
scared
an
him away.
industrialization issue, it's not a plant versus animal issue.
Yeah, correctly.
It looks like we scared that person away. I was really hoping we could perhaps interject for his scientific mind to evaluate the twin study. I think the twin study would have been a great resource for him, but he's gone now.
Also,
I think,
Seemed analytical and academic, but to be honest with you, which is why I wanted to have the conversation with him, because so am I. But it's very clear that he's not actually having the convo in good faith when he makes claims that are so easily debunkable.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I just found it crazy that he was able to somehow predict that like humans don't get enough calories from like plant-based foods.
No,
And,
he was
like,
trying to make. He was trying to.
Like,
I mean,
I'm not the most like
Yeah.
educated guy on nutrition, but like I've seen like some stuff that show vegans they get it pretty easy.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, like anecdotes are horrible science, but like
They are,
I eat a lot of fucking plants and like it's
He was doing something
know,
even more insidious than that, which is why I love that I actually have education from an evolutionary biological standpoint, because he was doing something more insidious and was hoping there wasn't enough educated people that he could pass it off of. He was trying.
not only that, it's just that like
Hold on, guys. Can Chip say something? Can Chip say something?
No,
I apologize.
I was just
I
gonna
just
say.
don't know why you guys think that he has malice just because he was speaking to you guys and had a different perspective.
No,
Well,
I
maybe
think
address.
from my perspective, listening in, it sounded like every time he tried to make his argument, he got spoken over. He got tired of being spoken over.
That's
No, that's not what happened. Nah,
Everybody quiet. Everybody quiet, or I'm still gonna start moderating. So Stafa, Chip is gonna address your claim now.
Yeah, so I believe that. So for me, it was very disappointing to hear his claims from a person who is into. I mean, he's an academic, as he said. I think all of his claims were pretty baseless. Even the fact that we would somehow regress, I think you must have some form of a misunderstanding of how evolution, natural selection, and how all of it works to think that we are regressing. And to even call it a regression is beyond, like, whatever. But yeah, nutritionally speaking, I'm assuming not a lot of people have a lot of nutritional knowledge. And I'm a certified nutritionist. I took the certification just so that I have some credibility in the matter. Before even taking the certification, I was already pretty versed on nutrition because I'm passionate about it. And I can tell you that there's nothing that we cannot have. Like, we can thrive on a plant-based diet. And you don't have to trust me on this, because I don't think you should trust authority. You should trust empirical data. And empirical data does show that we can thrive on a plant-based diet. So any micronutrient...
You post some in the side chat?
Say it again?
Can you post some empirical data?
Yeah, sure. I'll post the empirical data. I have several. Like, I'm just there isn't just one. I'll just post one or two. But that's also another thing about it, right? Like, there is just so much data proving this that you literally, to deny it would essentially mean to deny science. And yes, there are some vitamins that you get easier from consuming animal-based products. But just like there are some vitamins that you get easier from consuming plant-based products. And sure, you would like to think that consuming both would somehow make your life easier, and maybe it does. Who gives a shit? The reality is that it's not about you, it's about the sentient beings who are exploited and slaughtered for you. And knowing that we live in a world where you don't need to pay for any of the exploitation, abuse, and slaughter, how can you morally justify doing so?
I have a proposition. Maybe Starsha, hold on. Maybe Starsha and that cheap guy can talk, and everybody else mute. Maybe you two can have a conversation, because Cheap is incredibly nice. And everybody please mute, including myself, okay?
Oh, all I was going to do is respond by saying that we have India, which is a highly populated country with lots of people who happen to either be vegetarian or vegan. Not all of them, but a large part of that population because of religious reasons. And you can see that people in India often live very long lives, and you can see that they come from Hindu culture or Sikh cultures or different cultures that like there's literally some that will brush the bugs in front of them so that they don't even harm a bug, won't pull up a root vegetable because it might destroy the microbial life, like, and they live just fine on vegetation. And so it's a fine diet to have. You have to acknowledge, though, that sometimes certain foods are more accessible in meat than it is in vegetation, such as vitamin B12 and other just, iron. Yes, you can get iron from vegetation. It's more digestible if you eat it from meat. Same goes for calcium, stuff like that. And no, I'm not a nutritionist. I do know this stuff, but I do know that you can get it from plant-based products. The thing is that everybody goes in their own hearts goes, this is right or this is wrong. This is ethical, this is moral, or this is not ethical, not moral. We all have our own compasses. And basically, this is your compass, and you're saying that everyone needs to share your compass. That's where it's going to break down.
So I'll respond to your claims. I'll respond to your claims the other way around. So we'll come from end to beginning, because I feel like you've made like a couple of claims. I wrote them down.
Sorry.
So yes, indeed, morality is subjective for everybody. A lot of the times we as vegans don't really have conversations trying to impose our own morality, but rather we ask questions to see if the people who we are talking to are being morally consistent. Do you know what moral consistency means?
Well, please don't ask me a question that makes it sound like I'm a 5-year-old.
No,
I know what consistent is. I know what moral is. Therefore, I would know what morally consistent is.
Listen. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be like insulting or anything. I have been talking to a lot of people, and you will be surprised by how many people don't really understand the implication of moral consistency. So the reason why I ask, do you know what moral consistency is not that you don't know what each individual word means, but rather that do you understand the implications of what moral consistency is and why it is important.
Okay, so here's the thing. What I'm hearing is condescendingness, because most people would. What you mean by it and what I mean by it might be different. How you conflate it and how I conflate it might be different.
Please
but
explain what
morally
moral
consistent
consistency
is easy enough to fucking understand. That is someone who's consistent with their fucking morals. Can you please not talk to me like I'm a child?
Okay, so I'm just talking to you like I'm a calm person. I'm trying to explain to you a certain position. Okay, well, let me explain to you this
I'm
way.
sorry.
Like,
Yes, you're calm, but you're calmly being demeaning.
I'm not being
Sorry.
demeaning in any way. So moral consistency. Okay, you understand what moral consistency is. Okay, so the reason why I feel like you are a person who cares, right? You said that you try to buy ethical meat, right? That's what you called it. So I would argue why? Why is it that it's important for you that the meat product that you are buying comes from an quote unquote ethical source?
Okay, for me, I accept the fact that I'm an omnivore and that I'm a meat eater, but I do care about the life of the animal before it ended up on my plate. Maybe not necessarily that it died. I understand that it suffered a temporary death. Hopefully it was quick, but was that thing locked up in a cage where it was dirty? Did it get to see the sunlight? Did it get to swim in a pool? If it was a duck, did it get to have a life?
But
that
why?
matters to me.
Why?
It matters to me because it's one of God's creatures. And because, yes, I believe that they have a fucking central nervous system. They have feelings. They have emotions. We can see that animals care. I have a rodent, a little Miriam's kangaroo rat that it lives in my prickly pear bush. It knows who I am. It can identify me. Same goes for the crow. It's got the mentality of a 6-year-old child, and it literally knows me, and it knows how to con peanuts out of me. They are smart.
But
and so yes, I understand that animals
but let me ask you this.
they are sentient.
I'm sorry for interrupting you there. Like the question that I pose is, why do you care if animals suffer? Like, why is it bad that animals suffer?
Because they have emotions and they can feel pain and they can be both physically and emotionally harmed. And I wouldn't want to be physically hurt, and I wouldn't want to be emotionally hurt either.
Okay, so let's start from there. Okay, so the reason why you care that animals don't suffer is because you wouldn't want to be in that same position as they are, right? Because if you were in that position, you wouldn't want to suffer, right?
I'm sorry, can you get to your point?
I'm just trying to understand why you think animal suffering is bad, because you see that essentially is where the position.
Because a caring person cares if something suffers.
Okay, so but
because
then wouldn't you say
we're
that
humans and we care about? I get it. You're talking about ethics and morals and all of that stuff, and about why do we care? I care because I care.
But wouldn't a caring person also care enough to not kill somebody for optional products?
I do not give the animal the same weight I give a human.
I didn't say that. You said you care about animals. Wouldn't a person
Yes,
who cares about an animal give them enough moral consideration to not take their life if they don't need to?
All right. I eat meat.
I
care about the animal's life. I don't care about its death. That's my moral consistency.
You seem to be
as long
dodging
as
the question.
it didn't unduly suffer during its life, and it had a quick exit, I'm cool. I mostly eat fish. I eat eggs. I eat
wait.
I don't even eat dairy.
Fish, but fish.
Sorry, can you stop filibustering and let Chip talk as well?
Wait, fish are actually killed in the most horrific suffering way of all. So if you care that animals shouldn't suffer, then surely you shouldn't be consuming fish, right? Because
Okay,
fish
I'm gonna eat
are
my fish.
asphyxiated to death.
Okay, I'm gonna eat my fish.
So you see, you are not being morally consistent, because you say you care about one thing, and then when we show you, I'm sorry. Listen. Is the middle of my sentence interrupting the beginning of yours? Because I was speaking and I gave you the respect, and whenever I interrupted you, I said I'm sorry, and I continued, okay? So let's give each other enough respect. So what I'm saying is that what I started saying, I'm not going to go around that whole track. You are not being morally consistent.
You're just being nicer. I might be more emotional and I might use harsher words, but that does not mean that you're not being rude and nasty. I can identify it. I'm not an idiot. Kind of like, do you know what moral consistency is?
Yeah, I
That
asked
is
that.
like that.
Okay,
No,
That
like
was
now.
literally just a question. Please stop.
Okay,
That was
hold
literally a
on.
question.
I actually have to moderate this. If we cannot have a civil conversation, then Chip is gonna move to someone else. Okay, Starfire, we appreciate you being in this voice call and such, but if you're going to interrupt and just
Yeah, I
become more.
interrupted him because he
But-
interrupted me, and now I.
Okay, stuff I understand, but all I'm saying it's like this is not going to be there's not going to be any good conversations if we're just gonna like have an emotional conversation, especially like, oh, you did this, you did. Oh, let's just move on to someone else, okay? Let's just
And
make
someone
it.
talked over me.
Sorry.
Somehow unethical because I ate a fish.
Ah.
Fuck off.
Yeah,
Fuck
quick
off.
question
You're
on-
right. I can't handle it. I am
Wow.
too emotional. Like,
Okay,
no.
Starfire, it's fine. Let's
I'm
move on.
guilty.
Let's move on to some. Sorry, Chip, go ahead.
Can I just add something? Like, listen, Starfire, I'm sorry if you're feeling emotional about this, but the fact that you're feeling emotional should already tell you something about it. Because you know what? I am also
Yeah, that
emotional.
you're an
Let me finish.
asshole and it's
Let me
pissing me
finish.
off.
Let me finish a little second, okay? I am also being emotional when somebody brings an
Oh, no, White
argument
River
to
in
my
trouble.
attention. When somebody brings an argument to my attention that I know I might be in the wrong, I already become emotional because it triggers a certain emotion within me. The fact that our conversation triggered an emotional reaction within you is because you know that deep inside you are
that's
paying
called
for something that it
gaslighting.
is immoral.
No, that's called gaslighting. I told you why I'm pissed. Don't conflate it with something else and say, well, what you're actually upset about is because you're feeling guilty. Fuck off. That's not what's going on.
All right. Let's completely move
I
on
was
from this
trying to be
conversation.
nice. It
Let's
wasn't
just
about guilt or anything. I'm sorry,
let's just
fella.
move on. No, it's completely fine. I understand. Let's just
Yeah, and
completely
it was
move
100%
on.
about guilt.
Let's just move on from this conversation. Starfire, you're very welcome to be in this VC. Let's not interrupt the conversations. And if things escalate, I would have to start moderating people and kicking them out, including
Yo.
Anyway, is there any non-vegan who has a question about being vegan, or does any non-vegan want to defend eating animals? Anyone?
I'm not vegan, but I love animals.
Cool. I gotta BRB, but I'll let you guys continue talking.
So I have a question. When you say you love animals, what is it? Which animals do you love, or what is it about animals that you love?
Okay, so like, you know how with people, they have like morals and they can differentiate between what right and wrong. Animals, they don't have like the same capability, you know what I'm saying? So like, where a person would fuck you over intentionally, an animal's not gonna try to like stab you in the back on purpose. Like,
So what you're saying is that you
What?
trust animals a little bit more than you trust humans?
yeah.
So okay, so that's good. We can go out based on that. So you trust animals more than you trust on humans. Do you think it's important that you give animals the same moral consideration that you would want to be given?
Do people consider me morally? Hell no. So like,
But it's not that if they do. I'm asking. I'm assuming you would want to be considered morally, and I'm asking you: do you think that you should give animals the same moral consideration that you would also want to
yeah,
want to
but
receive?
that's like, okay, that's like a hypothetical, right? That's like if we're living in a utopian society, which we're not. People don't even consider each other's feelings, so why would they consider an animal's feelings like to that extent? You know what I'm saying? Like that would be a utopian society, and we'll
Yeah,
never
but
live in that.
sounds like you are better. Sounds like you are actually considering both the animals and the humans, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I care
And
about animals and humans, but that's
yeah.
me personally, right? We live
Yeah,
in a
we're
world
just
with a
talking about.
lot of people that don't.
Yeah, hold on.
Can I just say that, like
So
you said, we don't live in a utopia, and I would agree with you, but wouldn't you also agree that the only way we can get to a utopia or closer is to care about it and to vote for it with our decisions?
Yeah, I agree, but that would have to be like that's gonna take a lot of work. I think
yeah,
we
so
all
the
know
point
that.
is
I
though.
think it's
Hold
worth
on,
it
Benito.
for a
Hold on,
utopia.
hold on. So the point is though, right? In this place, we are talking to people and not to populations. So whenever anything like morally better wins out and becomes like a moral standard, It's because people stood up and said, this is immoral, right? Like when there was when slavery was legal, it was like still immoral, and a lot of people stood up and said, guys, it's not okay to own people, to sell people, to buy
Gotta stand
people,
up
right?
for what's right.
Yeah, so so that's why we actually having a conversation with people and hoping that they will change, and that's how populations change.
And also, I would argue, because you said that it would be a utopia, it wouldn't be a utopia. It would be a utopia on these two concerns, right? It would be just like a couple of utopia. There would still be shit happening in this world. It
That's
wouldn't be a
not
utopia.
what I meant. That's not what I meant. When I referred to a utopian society, I was referring to like just people even caring more about each other. That would
Yeah.
be a more utopian society because we don't live in a world where people care about each other.
Yeah, but
Like we
like,
just that's not
but we wanna
the
live in that
reality.
world. I'm sorry
Yeah,
for
we
interrupting
want
you there.
to. That's just not we want to. That's
Well,
just not the reality, man, right?
we
So if
want
people
to.
don't even care
you don't
about
We
care
can
each
get to
about
that
other.
me?
reality by caring about it, which is what we're doing now. As long as we care about it and we reflect that and we continue to show that care, then that's what gets us to a better world. That's what makes that actually possible, right?
Yeah.
Like the alternative is because it's not perfect, because it isn't a utopia or it isn't all nice, therefore we should do nothing, put our hands in our pocket and just accept it, right? That's not really a solution, nor is it something any of us want, nor is it how we get anything done in any other area of our life, right? Like last night, I didn't sleep a full 8 hours. It'd be better if I slept 8 hours. But that doesn't mean tonight I'm not going to sleep at all because I couldn't sleep perfectly 8 hours. I'm going to still try to do better and improve because that's good. That's what I want. That's what all of us do.
But let's move on because the reason, like, I don't want to get stuck on this whole idea of utopia too much. So the reason why I asked you this is because if you think you want to, like, I asked you, do you think you should be giving? And I feel like you didn't really answer the question. You just said that would be a utopia. So I'm asking you, do you think that you should give the same moral consideration to animals that you would also want to receive?
No, I did say that I would, but like other people might not.
Okay,
Well,
that's
let's
fine. That's
concentrate
fine.
on you then.
Yeah, that's fine. Like we can't control what others do, right? So let's talk about
Yeah, those
ourselves.
people are mean. We don't like those people, man. You know,
Yeah.
we gotta try to build a nicer world.
Yeah. So if you think
I'm
you
not
can
vegan
give,
though.
if you think you can give people moral consideration, right? Sorry, if you think you can give animals moral consideration, do you think that, or that you should give animals moral consideration? Do you think that you are giving animals moral consideration when you are paying for animal products?
Okay, so I'm gonna say this. I actually like this is the thing. This is what I said. I'm not vegan, right? I do eat animal meat, but I have a pet rabbit, so I don't use any products that have animal byproducts in them. Like I'm very holistic when it comes to like skincare and all that good stuff. But I do still eat like animal byproducts. I just don't like put them on my skin and shit like that, you know?
And that's great. You're already doing a great job. That's already a good step in the right direction. And I'm
It's just
just
I have a pet rabbit, so I'm like I just don't. There's certain meats I can't even like eat sometimes. Like I just can't get into it. But I understand why people are vegan.
So my question is because you see what we were discussing before about moral consistency, right? Can I really say, like, I'll just ask you this about myself, right? If I say I respect women, or if I say that I think women should have moral consideration, but then I go around and every once in a while I beat up a woman, do I give women moral consideration?
Okay, let me ask you this, right? Those women that you're beating up, are they putting their hands on you first? Like
No. Let's say innocent women who have not
Okay.
done anything. No.
So this is like you were trying to kind of change the
Oh, you're
context
talking
of the
about like
question,
Andrew.
right?
Talking about people like Andrew Tate. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, hold on a bit, Kirill. So you were trying kind of like change the context because like cows don't beat you up, right? Cows don't do anything to you, and you still eat cows.
Yeah, so the
Right.
reason why I asked this question is because what we say in what we do, it's important that they are consistent, right? If you think of yourself as somebody who respects animals, I'm not even saying liking them, I'm saying the bare minimum of respecting them, then surely you would agree that respecting them does not imply you taking their life, chopping them into pieces, and putting their flesh in your mouth hole, right?
Yeah, and that's where
Hey,
it comes
yo.
down to like I have respect for some animals, but not all. Like I'm sorry, like I guess I just don't respect chickens and cows. Like I'm
Yeah.
y'all, my bad, my bad, my bad,
Yeah.
y'all. Like
Why not? Why not? Don't you respect
Like
chickens and cows?
I would never do anything to an animal that I personally would domesticate, but I could never see myself raising chickens or cows. So I guess that's when it becomes like a personal like thing, like, you know?
But I have a question. So you say you have a rabbit, right? I'm assuming
Right.
because you have had this connection with a rabbit, you would never pay for rabbits to be put into slaughterhouses, right?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, so I'm asking you, do you think that a chicken or a cow or a pig, let's put a pig. I think pigs are kind of similar. They're much closer in size and
Well, I
everything to
don't eat
rabbits.
pork, so
Okay, then let's put it cows and chickens, right? So if either of these animals, do you think that if you were to put them in a slaughterhouse or you were to put a rabbit in a slaughterhouse, do you think that they would feel differently?
I think they would all feel the same, and I have seen people that like so I live in a state where it's actually like pretty normal here for people to have like they make what they're called hunting rabbits. They release them and let the dogs go hunt the rabbits. So I understand where you're coming from, but like
Yeah, but
there's nothing I can do to
well,
stop what those people are doing.
there's nothing you can do to stop what those people are doing, but there's something you can do to stop what you are doing. You can stop putting some of those animals. Like imagine there's a cow doesn't choose to be born a cow and a rabbit doesn't choose to be born a rabbit. Yet you seem to think that if one is born a cow, they
He said,
deserve to
"How
be
about
chopped into
mutton?"
pieces.
I'm dead.
Say that again.
Somebody commented, "How about mutton?" I've never had that, so I can't speak on that.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter which animal it is, right? Because as we've established, if they have emotions, if they feel, they would feel the same to be put in a slaughterhouse. And the reason why it would be bad for you to send a rabbit to a slaughterhouse is because you acknowledge that they would feel bad. So shouldn't logic dictate then that the same would apply to all other animals?
Not all other animals, because not all animals are born prey. Like rabbits specifically, they already have it genetically ingrained in them that they're prey. So some animals are not going to know that they're getting killed. Like they're just going to be like, whoop de doo de doo, going about my day, blah, blah, blah. And then, they're dead. Like, so some of them are not capable of processing the fact that they're dying. I don't think all animals can process that. I think some of them are just going about their little day and then all of a sudden their day is over. Like,
I don't know if that is true, first of all, and I don't know if that matters because at the end of the day, it's when they're there, they still feel the knife through their throat. They still feel the struggle to die. And at the end of the day, even if they wouldn't even feel that, you would know that you can choose to not put them in a slaughterhouse. You, as an individual who say that you are trying to do the best thing, if you're faced with the option between killing an innocent sentient being or not, why would you ever choose to kill an innocent sentient being?
yeah, that's true, but that's why I am not a hunter and gatherer. I do not go out and get my own food.
No, but you
Yeah.
do pay for somebody. You pay somebody to kill them, right? And in that process, you're not just doing bad for the animals themselves, you're also doing bad for all the people who have to do this. Because slaughterhouse workers do suffer from PTSD, and they do have a bad life.
Right now.
I don't know. Like my sister, like I've had family members that like have worked like in like, you know, areas where they have to like slice open animals and shit. She worked with fish, so she had to like gut open fish and like take the scales off and shit. Like I don't think that traumatized her. I think that it was just disgusting because she used to complain about the smell of the fucking fish every day when she came home.
Yeah, the thing with fish is that a lot of the times we see them as so different individuals because they look so different to us. A lot of the times we can so easily dissociate them as individuals. But all the workers in slaughterhouses that work on the kill floor, not the ones that then slice up the animal in pieces, the ones who work on the kill floor, they usually suffer from PTSD because you know what? You put a knife to the throat of an animal, they're gonna bleed a lot. Everybody bleeds the same color, the same way. You're gonna see them suffer. A lot of animals cry when they reach slaughterhouses. Like, this is all horrible, and to do it for something you don't need, like, why? Did they left? Did they leave? Sorry.
Give them some
I don't
time.
know,
They're
bro.
thinking, dog. Thinking.
Maybe sometimes it just gets too much. Maybe somebody else can talk now.
Yeah.
Anybody else wants to have this conversation? Maybe dear Barbie. Or whatever the name is. Yeah, dear Barbie. You can turn on the mic and talk to us, right?
No,
So
it's okay.
if
I'm just listening. Thank you.
if
I
I
figured
figured
out a way to kill animal peacefully without them hurting, okay,
Mhm.
and provide a good life for them before I
Mhm.
kill them for meat.
Mhm.
Does that be okay?
Well, let me ask you a similar question. If I raise a dog and I provide them with a very good life and I kill them painlessly, is it okay for me to kill them?
It depends of the purpose of the killing.
I'm gonna eat them, but I don't need to. I don't need the nutrients. I can get the nutrients from plants and supplements, but I just want to eat dog. Is it
Hey,
okay?
that's okay, I think. You
Oh,
want
okay,
to
awesome.
propose?
Is it okay for me to like bring a person into this life and like give them a really, really good life, like really peaceful life, and then like slit their throat just to again eat them? I don't need the nutrients. I just want to
Doesn't
eat
count
human meat.
because human species
Mhm.
don't eat each other.
Well, it doesn't
They
matter. I
do.
want
They
to
do.
eat them, so it doesn't matter.
We kill each other, okay, but we don't eat
Yeah,
each
I just want to eat human meat,
No,
so
we do.
I because I want to, I can do it, right?
Can
I'm
I
gonna
ask
give
a
them a really, really good life. They're not gonna feel any pain throughout their entire life.
I think there is other animals that eat each other.
Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if animals eat each other or not. I want to eat human meat. Is it okay for me to raise a human, give them a really, really peaceful, good life, and
No,
kill
it's
them
not
incredibly
okay.
painlessly and eat them? Is it okay morally, right?
It's not okay.
What is
Hello,
the morally
guys.
relevant difference between a human and an animal that makes it okay to kill an animal, but not okay to kill a human?
Because it's not traditional that we eat each other. I think it's
Well,
not.
it is traditional in many places,
Oh my
so that's
God.
just like plainly wrong. But if it was traditional in your society to eat humans, would you say it's morally okay to eat humans?
No, it's not morally okay to eat
Then
humans.
tradition is not the thing that is the difference. What is the morally relevant difference between an animal and a human that makes it okay to kill an animal, but not okay to kill a human for unnecessary products?
For unnecessary products,
Yes, we
it's
don't
not
need
okay.
animals to survive.
But
We
we
don't need
create the necessity because we see them as a source of food or protein
Well,
or other things.
yeah, but all of those things can be obtained without slaughtering animals, without breeding and slaughtering animals. So it becomes unnecessary to breed and slaughter animals. You can get protein from plants like chickpeas and lentils and soy, like tofu and stuff. You can get B12 in a supplement. You can get, what else? Calories, just calories, right? You can get them from plants. You can get iron from plants, you can get calcium. So everything you need can come either from plants or supplements. So what is it about an animal, not about our perception of them? What is it about an animal that makes it okay to kill them for unnecessary stuff, but if you put a human in a slaughterhouse, all of a sudden it's not okay?
I think it's comparing animals to humans.
Well, listen, I know the difference between
confusing.
animals and humans, and I think it's wrong to kill both of them. But it sounds like you don't know what the difference is between an animal and a human, such that makes it okay to kill an animal, but not okay to kill a human, because you haven't been able to give it to me.
For example,
difference.
I love the taste. I love the taste of animal meat. For
Well, if I
example,
prove to you that you would love the taste of human meat, would you then say it's moral to kill humans?
no, it's not
No. So
moral
what
to
is?
kill
So
any
that's
human.
what the difference. What is the morally relevant difference between animals and humans that make it okay to kill animals for unnecessary products for taste pleasure, in your case, and not humans? Again, I know the difference between humans and animals. I also know there is no difference between animals and humans that makes it okay to kill animals, but not humans. Therefore, I don't slaughter. I don't pay for slaughtering of animals or exploitation of them, because I don't see that difference. If you can't find the difference as well, you should probably stop eating humans and animals, right? Would that sound logical?
Yes, I guess, but
So what is the difference?
What is the difference
Yeah.
from your perspective?
Well, there are many differences between animals and humans. No differences so far been pointing out to me, and I can't find any that makes it okay to kill an animal, but not okay to kill a human in that same context for taste pleasure, for instance, right? So that's
It's
why
the
I stopped
morality,
eating
though.
animals, right? I
It's the
stopped.
morality behind humans, though, and the
Sorry?
fact that we're more
Guys.
evolved beings.
Hello.
Sorry,
Hi.
can you repeat that, please, Francesco?
I say hello. How are
Yeah,
you?
that's great, but can we finish the conversation? Sorry.
Okay.
You can't compare animals to humans because it's not
What is
how
the
it
morally relevant difference? If somebody points out the morally relevant difference between an animal and a human that makes it okay to kill an animal and not okay to kill a human, I might become ex-vegan today. Come on.
I think we
Everything
are
is at stake.
more self-conscious.
So
them.
why is self-consciousness less self-consciousness than human makes it okay to kill somebody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys.
So if I say that stopping eating meat will decrease the testosterone levels.
Well, first of all, you're going to have to prove it, but then that wouldn't be like a difference that between animals and humans, right? So you could eat humans and it would be like a boost of testosterone. Would you start eating humans then?
Okay, but
Probably
for
not,
example,
right?
if some nation just start eating only
So
plants,
I want to
and
answer
it
a question.
reduce testosterone for them, and other nations start eating animals, it will be stronger than this nation. It
Sorry,
will
now
be
you're making the claim that it's like eating animal products actually boosts your testosterone. Actually, by the way, probably gonna find I probably have somewhere a rebuttal of this claim, but you made the claim, so either provide evidence, but also answer my specific question. If you found out tomorrow that eating human meat would actually boost your testosterone, would you start eating humans?
You're comparing animals to humans, but we're very different, like in terms
Yeah,
of
because I'm comparing them because folks here can't give me the
I'm giving you a
traits
reason.
difference.
If you let me speak, I'll give you a
Yeah.
reason. I'll give you several reasons why
Yeah,
you
let's
cannot
go.
compare animals to humans. The first example is that let's take it simply. As humans, we're moral agents, and the animals are moral patients. So, for
Okay, so it
example,
makes it
we're
okay to kill
capable
moral
of.
patients?
Let me finish. We're capable of making moral decisions and understanding ethics and ethical frameworks and obligations. Animals can't. You can't compare the two. We're not the same as animals.
Yeah, well,
An
the
example is that
comparison.
the many philosophers.
Hold on.
Wait, hold
Hold
on,
on.
hold on. That's look. I'm not even on the vegan side, but like, can I just say something right quick about that?
No, if I can
Like,
only
for
address
people,
first the baddie, if I can only address. So does that the then no, they have not left. So baddie, why us being moral agents and animals being moral patients make it okay to kill animals who are moral patients, but not okay to kill humans who are moral patients, for instance?
Because
as humans, we have moral agency, sentientism, speciesism, and ethics. These animals don't have this. Like, if we want to go,
why does it make it okay to kill them, though? Why is that
No,
different?
they literally just asked you about like humans who don't have that moral agency, like basically like really dumb humans, like not like a dumb person, but like really like basically people who are like mentally disabled
and physically disabled. So there are a lot of people who are like moral patients, right? Is it okay to kill them because they are moral patients?
That's not the point. When we're speaking in terms of this, we're speaking.
Sorry,
about
can you answer my question? That's what I'm looking for. I'm
that
looking for a
is
difference.
intellectually
Hold on,
dishonest.
Baddy, hold on.
Dishonest.
I think you're not understanding the question. I'm looking for a
dishonest.
difference between humans and animals that makes it okay to kill the animals. Why is it okay to kill the animals? You say because they're moral patients. Well, I'm saying, well, some humans are moral patients. Is it okay to kill them?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Wait,
Awesome.
hold on. You hold the position that it's cool to kill the mentally
What you're doing
disabled?
is,
Holy
I can't have a
shit.
debate with you if you're just attacking me, firing me with questions, and not letting me make my
Holy
claim.
shit. You just admitted that it's okay to kill mentally disabled people?
You're very heated, and you need to calm down so we can actually have a good conversation. The thing
I don't see how we can have a good conversation when you just admitted that it's okay to kill mentally disabled people.
Let her explain. Let her explain,
animals
please.
to humans. Animals do not
Humans
have
are animals.
sentience like we do. They don't have an ethical or moral framework like we do. And for you to compare us is very intellectually dishonest and disingenuous.
Wait.
Thank you for
You're
that.
doing it to fit your agenda and your ideology of veganism. And that's not honest.
Baddy, let me ask you this. If we
I'm
find
not answering
humans...
questions. I'm having a debate. We can give me a rebuttal or we can move on. I'm not going to answer the
yeah.
questions. It's not you firing questions at me and I'm answering them. No, it's a debate.
Yeah, but
You'd say
Baddy,
your
I
rebuttal,
want
I
to
say
rebut. I want to rebuttal you. So what
Go
you're
ahead, but don't ask me
saying,
questions.
your logical. So let me explain to you logically. What you said logically is that you can't compare humans to animals because humans have moral agency. Yes, and because humans. What else did you say?
We have sentientism, we have speciesism, and we have practical ethics and rights.
Okay,
speciesism is like racism, right?
Yeah,
so it's nothing to be proud of.
Yeah, exactly. But
I disagree with you. I think you're very radical. But yeah, go ahead.
So your logical statement means that if we find a human being who lacks all of those, like moral agency, intellectual capacity to understand all the other terms that you mentioned that I can't really remember right now, if we find a human being who lacks all of those, then theoretically we can compare that human being to an animal, correct?
No.
Wait, but you said you can't compare human beings to animals because humans have all those capabilities. So now I'm saying, well, if I find a human being who doesn't have those capabilities, then can I compare them to animals?
What you're doing is called the marginal cases argument, okay? And it's saying
it's
moral worth depends on rationality, self-awareness, or moral agency.
It's not.
And this is very disingenuous. You can't do the marginal case argument in this context.
I'm
because
literally
logically on actual traits but kind memberships. You understand?
Logically, I'm not talking about. Listen, I'm not talking about groups of individuals. I'm not talking about groups of individuals. I'm talking about individual.
Marginal case attack. No.
Okay, I understood what you said. Now let me finish for a second. Listen, I understood what you said.
Betty, you gotta let them talk as well, please.
Yeah.
You mentioned the marginal case argument. It's disingenuous. Go ahead, though.
So, Betty, I'm not talking about large groups of individuals. I'm talking about one single individual on this planet, right? One single individual, whether I can compare them to an animal or not. That is my question. How can I make a compare? First of all, you can compare, by the way, anything to anything. Literally, that's what a comparison implies. You can compare a small number to a almost impossibly large number, but you can compare them. It doesn't mean that you cannot compare them. Comparisons can be had regardless. But what you're implying is that the comparisons, you can't compare them, literally means that humans are not on the same scale as them. But what I'm saying is that one individual to individual, okay? Just one individual, not masses, please.
Okay, but either way, you mentioned the masses. You said disabled people. You made a marginal case argument.
One individual.
God, I'm getting to the point. Don't interrupt me. So that's that. I have to first of all attack your disingenuity in this case by mentioning the marginal case thing. Now, second of all, We don't grant moral worth based on what an individual can do right now, but on what kind of being they are. A severely disabled human is still a member of the human race and species, okay? A moral community protects all members regardless, especially the vulnerable people. So it's not arbitrary to just say, oh yeah, if it's disabled, the one human, can we compare it? No.
Betty,
you don't do that.
But by your logic right now that you're saying
My
that
logic was
let me,
that
Betty, you gotta Betty, you gotta no. Listen,
Oh my
the
goodness.
middle of my sentence cannot possibly interrupt the beginning of yours. Do you understand that? You gotta let me finish for a
Lovely quote
second.
from Pinterest. Go ahead.
So, what I'm saying is that one individual at a time, you're saying that because an individual is part of a certain group and because society has decided to give more moral worth to that individual, to that group, and because that individual belongs to that group, therefore that individual has moral worth, correct?
No.
That's exactly what you said. You said they deserve moral worth because they're part of humans, being humans. Being human is a categorization of animalia.
No. You're twisting my words to fit what your ideology is.
Jesus Christ.
No.
You can't
My
possibly
words were very
respond to a
clear,
simple question.
Very easy. I'm going to answer you. I'm going to repeat what I said again. Very simply, don't try and play semantics and twist my words to fit what you want me to say. No.
Wow.
I'm speaking God's English in a very clear way. You said if we have disabled people, keyword in people, and then you changed it to one individual after I called
I'm
you out
adapting to yours.
cases.
Can you please move on?
And then on top of that, I told you we don't grant moral worth based on an individual and what they're capable of right now, but as a collective. What about this
a collective means that they're part of a certain group.
Yes, a species.
Okay,
exactly.
so you're literally saying exactly what I'm saying.
It's how we uphold human rights.
You're literally saying exactly what I said. You are giving moral worth to an individual because they're part of a group that society has deemed that they deserve moral worth, correct?
Dude, as a human species, we don't consume each other. We are
that's not what I asked.
Not true.
That's not what I asked.
Okay,
that's
that
not
is
true.
just
That's not what I asked.
Batty.
Batty.
I like that. Let me answer you. I like that. Yes.
So, Batty.
You mentioned society. I like that. Yes, because society is made of humans. We naturally build up moral
Okay. So you agree with my So, Batty, if you agree with that statement,
if we don't prioritize humans like infants and disabled and unconscious people, it would collapse the whole universal human rights system. What's your argument here?
Okay, so Batty, my argument is because let me finish. And this is a beautiful argument. So you said that somebody deserves moral worth because they belong to a certain group that society has deemed to have moral worth
moral framework, exactly.
Simply because they belong to that group. Okay, well, if you take it back 200 years, let me finish. Let me finish. If we take that back 200 years ago, would you say that that white people gave moral worth to other white people simply because they belong to that group of race, but they did not give moral worth to other races of individuals because they didn't belong to that race? They used exactly the same justifications that you're using, discriminating based on race.
Race and species are fundamentally different. You can't compare all races to the same
What's the difference? What's the difference between the discrimination?
You cannot do it because racism is discrimination on a group where no morally relevant differences exist. I'm talking about moral relevance.
What's the morally significant? What's the morally relevant difference?
We're talking about human species and you're talking about race, which is based on discrimination, and there's no moral relevant difference in race.
Do you understand that there is no morally significant difference between species?
Yes, there is.
What is it?
When we're talking about
what
the
is
human
it?
Species.
What is it? What is the morally significant difference between species?
We have a framework for human rights to protect.
No, I don't care if we have it. What is the morally significant difference? What is the morally significant difference?
Dude, lions eat meat.
Shut up. We don't care about that. What is we're not talking to you. What is the morally
significant animals? What the fuck are you talking about?
Guys, I'm gonna moderate. Let two of them talk.
Comparing speciesism to racism is a false analogy, and because racism is like literally ignores morality, okay, and speciesism doesn't do that. It recognizes deep biological and ethical relevant differences, like the capacity for moral judgment and abstract thought. For you to just combine speciesism with race is very false and disingenuous. I'm sorry.
Wait, okay. So let me ask you this:
And
what is a species? What is a
one last thing.
species? If
One
you
last
think that
thing, one last
discriminating based on
One last
species
thing,
is wrong, if you think discriminating based on species is right, what is a species? What is a species?
One last point. If we're equating the treatment of these animals with victims of slavery and racism, this is disrespectful to human suffering because it ignores the human.
Yes. It's not. But
Just do
go
that.
on.
Yes,
It's
it
not.
is.
But tell me, what is a species?
One last point. Let me finish my point. It's dangerous to erase the human-animal moral boundary, which is what you're doing right now. It's radical and dangerous.
What is a species?
It's we're not doing the semantics and stupid questions like this.
No. Do you know what a species is?
No. I'm not.
So you don't know what a species is?
Damn, they can't engage. They can't engage with the question.
What is it?
Why is it a non sequitur?
It's not a non sequitur. You seem to think.
What's the argument for being in a non sequitur?
You seem to think.
What's the argument? Wait, what's the argument that you put forward that it's a non sequitur? If you can't explain why it's a non sequitur, you're just putting the fallacy forward.
Exactly.
It's not fallacy.
It is.
It's not.
Okay.
No, it's not.
Wait. Why is it a non sequitur again? Can you justify that?
The reason why it's non sequitur because you're asking for the strict definition of the word species, okay? And this debate isn't about biology, it's about moral value, first of all, okay? And secondly,
it's about moral value based on species. It's about moral value based on species.
It's not just taxonomy.
Yeah.
It's not just taxonomy.
But our understanding of species and our understanding of moral value is very much connected.
If you want to definition of species, it's a group of organisms or in this case,
well, the point of what they're getting you to think about, which it doesn't seem like you want to think about, but the point they're trying to get you to think about, right, is that where are you actually drawing the line, right? Do you even understand your own morals and how you're applying it?
I think it's radical and I think it's dangerous to erase the human-animal boundary.
Stop placing judgments on moral values.
You do understand, even if you didn't erase the boundary, you could keep the boundary there, but still understand that those animals have a moral value.
Erasing the boundary. Exactly.
Wait, but hold on, just slow down. I just addressed your point, right? Listen to what I just said. I just addressed your point. Even if you believe that, right, and we don't have to even address, it doesn't even require us to remove the human and other animal boundary, right? We don't have to do that at all. But again, just to say that they are different and we have a different value is still not to say that they don't have some moral value, right? Because and we know this because you don't just go kicking dogs in the street, right? You value that.
And then he made a false analogy. He's been very disingenuous from the beginning.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm different. I'm not speaking to those points, right? So I'm just speaking a different point.
So, from the beginning, he made a false analogy.
Okay.
He started mentioning marginal differences.
Just because you don't understand it doesn't mean
my words.
Yeah. Just because you don't understand it. So listen, by the way, Baddy, the reason let me explain you 1 second. The reason why it is not a non sequitur is because we are discussing morality based on species. Of course, it's very important to know what species is if the subject of discussion is whether to discriminate based on species is moral or not.
Is you making a false analogy comparing race to speciesism, which is very disingenuous.
Yeah, it's not. It's the same.
There are two forms of bigotry.
There are two forms of bigotry. They're the same. They're taxonomy. That's all they are. They're taxonomy based on what do you call them? Phenotypes. They're taxonomy based on phenotypes.
No.
Wait. I wanna resolve this a little bit easier. Buddy, should we discriminate based on species?
No, I'll get back to you in a minute because he mentioned
it's just a quick yes or
no. Felix, hi by the way, but I'm not gonna let this slide because if this was me making such a stupid statement, he would have been on my neck. You compared race to speciesism. Can we just get back to that point?
I compared racism to speciesism. They're both forms of discrimination based on physical traits that an individual is not born with. Did you understand what I've said? What did I say, Baddy? What did I say?
It's very dumb to compare race.
What did I say? Before you place a Baddy.
Baddy, yeah, I think it's very disingenuous for you to strawman someone else's argument and say that they did say this and that.
It's not strawmanning. I'm changing
Baddy,
it's not strawmanning, but you're very disingenuous.
Buddy, let them explain themselves. Can they explain themselves, or do you want to strawman them?
I'm about to leave. It's not a straw man. You made a very false
It
analogy,
is a
very
very
stupid,
big
and
straw
I'm
man.
unpacking
Yeah,
you.
so
Yes,
listen,
it is.
Batty.
No, it's not.
It is a
It's not.
discrimination. It is a
No,
discrimination based
and
on
anyone with a
physical
brain won't
traits
agree with you.
that an individual was born with. Do you understand that?
No, you're very radical. Very radical. You compared
Is it
race
a
to speciesism.
before you place
Oh, why are you
judgment
so
on my
scared?
values?
Very
Why do
radical.
you?
You're
Okay,
extremely
guys,
Jesus,
I'll
just kick
kind of
this person out because
yeah,
this person
hold
is
on.
not being genuine and
I'll
doesn't
just
want to have
quickly.
conversations.
Oh no, buddy left. I need to unmute them.
Thank
Hold on.
fucking God that they left.
Um,
Jesus Christ, what a ridiculous! You can't have conversations with people who don't want to engage.
yeah, I guess what I would normally do is just ask them like simple yes or no questions.
I tried that.
Like I think, yeah, I know you did. I was here for a little bit, but I think they keep like bouncing from one point to another point to another point. Because like we can even say like, is it okay to discriminate based on species? If they say yes, then we can just make a hypothetical. You know, like even with oh, this is the argument I love, Chip. Like the Sentinel Island. You probably heard of the Sentinel Island, right? If we say that yes, it is okay to discriminate based on species, then the individuals which look identical to humans on the Sentinel Island, there you go, buddy, I've unmuted you. You can leave now if you want to. If we can discriminate based on species, then the individuals which look identical to humans on the Sentinel Island, then we should discriminate them if they are not our species, even though they look identical to us. So that would be a really horrible bullet to bite.
I don't think that that person knows what a species is, and I think I tried asking questions, going the route of asking questions, but they're like, I'm not here to answer questions. I'm here to dispute.
Yeah,
well,
I don't think it was I don't think it was a non.
You're being a bit disingenuous there. I think they were just having cognitive dissonance.
No, I think Nils, what it boiled down to them strawmanning, but let's just move on.
No. That's cognitive dissonance, right? Like when they strawman people, when they talk over, when they call you a name, it's because they typically know they're wrong, but they don't want their ego to be hit. It's ego.
Let's just move on from the person. If they come back, we can continue the conversation. Does anyone? Okay, guys, let's just clear the conversation room. Does anyone else have any questions about veganism, or do anyone wants to defend eating meat?
Me?
Okay, Barry, what's your position?
I think meat is essential for life, especially for our body, to build our proteins and our muscles. When it comes to muscles, I'm not speaking about just muscles.
Are you reading from ChatGPT?
Oh, I sound intelligent for you to sound like ChatGPT.
No, you sound like you're reading. You sound like you're reading from something.
Guys, let vegans.
I'm flattered.
It's funny. It's funny. It's okay, guys. Barry had a question. Do any vegans want to present a point?
That's impossible because all vegans are dead. It's like grow muscles.
What? I'm not
Oh god.
Oh,
bro.
So yes, so there are several vegans in chat who do not muscle. So you have a different point.
Wait, do you think that I don't have muscle?
No, it's Davey, Chip. I was saying that's what.
Sorry. Yeah.
That's what they say. There are obviously several vegans in chat with muscles. So do you have a different point?
I'm not speaking just on muscles. That the one you show up for girls or something like that. I'm speaking about in general muscles, like
I've got interior muscles.
Yeah. Your brain also like need that percentage of fat to function, not just your muscles.
There's nothing inside meat that I need to function. I lift weights. I'm 6 foot, 215 pounds. I don't have any issue building strength. I bench almost 275. So I don't know what's your point. Like, do you have like a deeper point, or is this just like straight?
I think I could bring maybe a point on that. Like, I would argue it's more convenient to use meat when it comes to bringing strength. While not impossible, but being vegan.
How so?
Because the calorie to protein content of most meat products are typically substantially higher than vegan alternatives.
Yeah, but we have plenty of vegan.
Wait. No, there's
like what?
plenty.
That are readily available.
So for instance, nuts. So let me give you an example. Here in Denmark, we have what's called pork rinds. That's the skin of pigs. That's like a snack typically. They have in a package the protein contents like of 100 gram, and they have around 800 calories. Compare that to nuts, which like 100 gram of nuts is like 600 calories, but you only get 23 grams of protein, at least in the ones I've seen in my store. So like when it comes to convenience,
what if I choose the vegan snack? What if I eat dried chickpeas instead?
Well, I don't think it matters if you're doing it. I'm just saying.
Well,
that
it certainly
convenient-
matters if you're trying to compare.
Well, I'm doing it to ensure like convenience, right?
You don't get. Well, I know, but you're picking the snack. You're picking the vegan snack.
Well, I'm comparing different alternatives, right? Like it can be a snack, it can be anything. It's
Right,
still a content.
you're
It's still a
choosing to
nutritional
pick-
content.
Right, but if I picked a vegan snack that was high in protein nutrients, like dried
what?
chickpeas, and compared them to Oreos or some
Sure.
other.
But my point is that on average, we can find that most meat products have a more calorie efficient with protein content. That's kind of
No,
the point.
wait. Do you know that soy chunks have 50% protein? They're higher in protein per calorie than any meat.
What's the gram and what's the calorie content?
For 100 grams of soy chunks, you get about 50 grams of protein.
50 grams of protein. How many calories?
I don't know exactly, but it's let me
Well,
see.
that's kind of what I want to get into.
Yeah, I know
because,
what you mean. Yeah, but
because
the fact that I said that 50%, it means that 50% of the calories are coming from protein.
Yeah, I know. I never said you didn't, but like if it's like 1,000 calories, I don't think it's gonna matter. You know what I'm saying?
What do you want to know, per 100 grams or per what? Okay.
Well, just 100 grams. I think that's a good benchmark.
Okay, so for 100 grams, soy chunks have 440 calories, and
50 grams of protein.
Yeah. I see here it says Oh wait, no, this is soybeans. This isn't soy chunks. Wait, sorry. Yeah.
That's fair.
I think it's 300. It's 370 calories.
370. Well, let me just fetch my.
I just looked it up quickly on Google, right quick, like just a quick little Google search.
And also, I don't
Per
know
100 grams.
I just don't understand why this is relevant.
What's up? Wait,
if we have
you found it? Have you found it?
I think you
from
said
from just a quick Google search, it's 370 calories.
Oh shit! Where do you guys find those?
you can buy them on Amazon.
Oh, you
but
can find that, bro. You can find that shit anywhere. Just go to your fucking
Bro,
local.
I'm in a grocery store. They don't have those here, man. I live in Denmark. We don't have those here.
You have them
You
in
don't
Denmark.
have like.
Are you sure?
You don't have
I've never seen them.
I've seen them
shit.
in Denmark. I've been to
Wait, hold
Denmark
on.
and I've seen them.
Well, at least like in America, we have like a lot of Asian grocery markets, and in Walmart they sell that shit.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've seen videos of vegans in Denmark. I don't know.
Well, there is
Like,
vegans in Denmark,
kind
but
of a
like
foodie.
let's put it like this. Like most
They
vegans in
probably.
Denmark, they
Let me
don't
see.
focus on like fitness
Let
and
me just-
workout.
Let me just Google this right quick. If there's any like soy chunks in Denmark groceries.
I don't know if any of that matters really, right? Because at the end of the day, you can still get like enough protein that your body needs to build muscle or to sustain a healthy, active lifestyle. So it doesn't really matter that you can get foods that are higher in protein, because protein is not a essential macronutrient for building muscle. It's one of it, but fat is also
There's
important.
calories and
Calories.
carbohydrates are typically the ones you use for bulking alongside
Yeah.
protein.
Yeah, you need a lot more energy, and you need
But
also
no,
need
I'll
protein.
concede to the point. I wasn't actually aware of soy chunks, though. They can't really seem to find them anywhere in any stores that I use when I'm looking it up.
You can find them online. I always order mine online. So here in the Netherlands, you can find them in the biological stores. I'm sure you have biological stores also there, or online.
All right, beautiful.
Do you have
I'll
any?
probably look
Do you
into
have any
this.
like Asian grocery markets in your area?
Well, so
Because like
this city is very unique in this respect. Yes, we do have one here. Like, I could probably go in and look in that, but like in most of Denmark, there's no Asian food stores.
okay. Well, check. We'll see if they got it there, and also check out the source that he gave you. 'Cause, like at least in America, that's why I usually find them. Like you won't find as much in Walmart, but like the Asian grocery stores have like 80 different kinds, dog.
No, I was just asking because from what I can see, they don't actually exist in like normal groceries in Denmark. They just might exist in like a nation's food store, though.
I would like to connect right now to a VPN in Denmark and check Google about soy chunks.
I'm looking it up, soy chunk Denmark, and I'm just getting a bunch of like obviously like international sites, and then iSpice.dk and like online pages, but no like groceries.
Yeah, so
You have I'm sorry.
So
yeah, what's up?
In Dutch, they're called soja-stukjes, like pieces of soy. So maybe that's how they're called also there.
That could be also.
Yeah, it's different everywhere. But like, I feel like, by the way, are you vegan? You're vegan, right? Based on the name, I'm assuming.
Wait, who?
Like your name is Animal Free, right? I'm assuming you're vegan.
Oh, no, that's not me.
Oh, that's not you. Okay. Oh, I'm looking at. There's a lot of people in here. When I'm like who's speaking, Animal Free is always speaking, I guess. Okay. So,
I'm just entertaining different subjects, man. I'm not even here to be intellectually dishonest. I'm just listening to what people are saying.
Okay, fair enough. But let me ask you this: then, like, do you think it's fair for us to exploit and slaughter animals, given that we don't need to?
Not inherently, no. I don't think there is any reason for it, but I do think it's important to remember that the entire market is generally structured in a way that prefer meat consumption, so it will require internal political reforms to change that over time as like a practical solution, which is possible.
Yeah, I understand
that definitely is true, but definitely is true. Like at some level, you are gonna need some like type of like I would say like on both levels that if you have an ideal and like you believe in something, you should probably advocate it on a personal, but also on a societal level too.
I think the problem with a personal basis is people have an information bias where they go for what is more immediate to their knowledge. So they even if they agree with veganism morally, they're still going to take meat products because that's what they're more familiar with, and they're less likely or less prone to change because of the recency bias.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
Holy shit!
So making vegan products more convenient will naturally change consumption patterns more towards like plant-based.
Nah, I've definitely seen that because like there's been because I know when I was a kid like you couldn't find a fucking vegan burger. I think there was like Morningstar, but like now like you can go to Burger King and get like the fucking Impossible Whopper. But fuck that shit. Like the Impossible Whopper at Burger King is so dog shit. Like you should just make that shit at home. It's so fucking good, bro. Bro, it doesn't make any sense, dog. It's like inconsistent, bro. Cause like when I fucking go to Walmart and I get the Impossible meat, I fucking put black pepper and salt and I just throw it in the air fryer and don't do shit, and it's way better, bro. Like what the fuck are they doing over there, bro? Like did they fucking throw it in the toilet and like fucking give it to goddamn like some fucking goblin?
But no, like
I don't know, bro.
My relationship,
bro.
My relationship.
I mean, understand. You know what? I shouldn't even be mad. It's fucking fast food. That's my fault. It's fucking fast food.
Listen, I mean, my relationship with veganism is the same with environmentalism. It's kind of like I think it would be better if more people were vegan, but I think I would not advocate on an individual level. I would advocate it on a macro level. Like change consumption patterns, subsidize certain forms of production over others, and just change the market supply chain instead.
But even if it was necessary, even if like this system of exploitation was inherently needed, even if the individual, like say we were living in a time of slavery where the economic stability of a nation depended on enslaving others, but you happen to be in a position where you didn't have to exploit a slave. It would still be a moral imperative not to participate.
Sure, but again, right, like I focus more on consequences and I do it on like the underlying premises, because I agree with you, the consequences are bad, but I still think that when you can try to change people on an individual level, but I mean, the last guy I spoke to who was like asked, oh, how many have you changed? Oh, I've only changed one guy. Okay, you've long been to do this 3 years. Oh, yeah, you're not going to change anything. And macro level policy orientation might make more sense. There's a lot of ways of pushing this, like carbon taxes on food, like things like beef, for instance, is very popular.
But would you say the same? What's wrong with one guy? I wouldn't say the same thing if you're like, oh, I saved one person from drowning.
Because one
guy.
guy.
Well, there's still like so many other people that are.
Well, so I think this is.
I see what they're saying. They're saying like a lot of that energy can be spent in like more effective means.
Well, not just that. Not just that. Like, I think it's a false analogy you're trying to use because let's say we change one guy and he stops consuming goods. Okay, well, now there's lower demand on these products, and people who would otherwise not buy the goods are just going to buy more of it now. It's just going to recalibrate towards people who still eat meat.
Why would they buy more?
Because if a demand for product remains like it's lower than it would be otherwise, then prices would be
one
lower.
person removing their demand does not cause other people to increase theirs.
No, you're right, but you know what I'm trying to communicate. Like, if everyone changed one guy, you will on average just increase consumption among groups that still eat meat. That's kind of my point.
So wait, before I gotta go. So wait 1 second before I go. Somebody wrote in my chat, and I want to tell you, Niels. So you can find soy chunks in Helsamine. Apparently,
Helsamine? I've never heard of that.
It's the biggest Danish health food stores. Helsamine.
Wait. Can you write down because I don't know if you're saying it correctly.
I'll put it in the chat. That's it. And then
I've never heard of this stall, man. I'm just gonna put it bluntly. I'm gonna look. Oh, Helsam. Yeah. Wait, let me look up there. Okay, they're here.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna jump out. Everybody, sorry for interrupting. Continue now.
Beautiful.
Soy chunks are pretty cool, man. You could do a lot of stuff with them.
Okay. Well, that's it, everybody. I gotta go. I have a meeting in a couple of minutes. I gotta use the toilet before I go. And I appreciate everybody being here. It's interesting to have these Discord conversations. Sometimes it can go a bit heated. Ooh, but that's sometimes that's okay. If you're not subscribe. Why not? You might learn some things. Sometimes we do Discord conversations. Sometimes we go on the street. I was gonna do Discord conversations again on Wednesday, but I think I'm gonna be back Wednesday with street activism. So I think on Wednesday I'll be back doing some street activism. And I really want this week to do one day where we unite and we have conversations, or we watch something together a little bit more chill, not just talking about animal rights, because we also need safe spaces for vegans. So yeah. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. I see some people who are trying to bait people. The conversation is still going in that chat. You have a link in the description. If you want to join the conversation, go to that. Have conversations there. Listen to the conversation there. And if not, I'll see you in the next one. That's it. Yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for being here. And I think because we do this contest on this channel, the person who says the first comment, we give a shout out. I think the last time it was Dracolom who won the comment, and was the first one to do it. And just for the sake of